Man, what's happening, YouTube? Appreciate y'all joining us. Get into this conversation. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm about to open up my chat here, so we're gonna have a quick discussion. But shout out to the daddies out there, right? Daddies of the world. We always appreciate y'all, even though you don't get the adulation and the congratulations that you deserve. We want to make sure that we're giving it to you today. Hey, y'all, good people. Welcome to our Father's Day edition of Sunday dinner. I appreciate y'all joining me. I am just letting folks in, starting my recording, doing all of this at the last second. Of course, y'all already know what it is if you've been here at Sunday dinner before. What's happening, Jew? I see you in the building, brother. What's happening, man? I appreciate you being here. Hey, Monica, Mildred, Faye, Sonia, Tony, Cecilia, Roberta, appreciate y'all joining us on this Father's Day edition of Sunday Dinner. I'm coming in hot, right? Like I'm feeling good, y'all. So hopefully y'all ready to have a good discussion today, and conversation. Hey, do me a favor. Let me know where you're watching from. Give me a one in the comments if you're new here. I'll slow down, maybe. But I'm fired up, right? We had a juicy discussion yesterday. I don't know if y'all were um, privy to it, but I watched the Straw Tyler Perry movie. I hadn't watched the Tyler Perry movie. I actually lied. I said I hadn't watched the Tyler Perry movie in 15, 20 years. And then I realized I watched 6 888. And that was a Tyler Perry flick. And I did enjoy that flick as well. So I did lie to y'all if y'all was on the call. I did see that. But I thought about it in retrospect and was like, 6 888 was pretty good. But we had a straw discussion yesterday and it was strong, man. It was strong. It was strong. It was strong. And the people even accepted my harsh criticism of the movie. I don't know. Y'all don't beat me up. Grandma said it's okay for me to be honest with y'all. So I'm taking advantage of that opportunity. But I thought it was a good movie. I mean, I thought it was good enough to hold a separate day discussion on it, right? So I had to really enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was some very powerful narratives centered around parenthood, being a woman in America, poverty, mental health issues, relationships, right? Like it was a lot. It was a lot. And we definitely had a great discussion. Hopefully, y'all were there. Right. Happy Father's Day. Here I go, just launching into all these other conversations. But happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. If you're not a father, happy Father's Day to your father. If your father wasn't shit, happy Father's Day to your granddaddy or your substitute father in spirit, right? We're not gonna dwell on the negative daddies. We're gonna give it up to the ones that showed up and to the stepdaddies. I love that conversation around. I'm not a stepfather. I'm a father that stepped up. I love that conversation as well. So we need it, and I think strong. Let me bring it back to that shows the need for a community around not only children but around us, right? We are people who need others sometimes to lean on and assist one another, right? So I always want to encourage you to not only be in the community but be a blessing to the community that you are in. We want to make sure that you leave things better than you found it, and I always like to challenge people to do better, be better, right? I don't think we had that enough. We I was talking to my children earlier, my young adults earlier, and they were like, "Man, you will always say something, right?" Like, no, I'm gonna say it, right? If it needs to be said, I'm gonna say it, right? If you bullshitting, if you messing around in your life, like I'm gonna say it, right? I'm gonna call you on it. You might not like me, you might not call me for a week or two, but I'll get over it. Hopefully, you will too. But just do better. You do better. I ain't got to say these things, right? But that's what friendship looks like. I think friendship has gotten watered down, right? Or this is where I was going, right? I'm fired up, y'all. So I don't know if you can tell, but welcome to the discussion. I ain't even clicked record yet. The whole team is gonna get me. Y'all know I get to just talking and running my mouth. I don't even know how to do this. Record it to the cloud. All right, yeah. Hey, welcome to Sunday dinner, right? Right. But oh, that's where I was going. Because I was like, man, we were talking about something, my son, and I was telling him, I was like, bro, I'm from Gen X. I'm from the generation of if you didn't win, people told you to do better. You want a trophy, we don't just make your ass a trophy. You better win. You better put in the work. You better put in the dedication. You better try a little bit harder. Hey, trophies are for winners, right? Sprinkles are for winners. I don't know if y'all seen that. There's a movie or something. Sprinkles are for winners, right? Like we've gotten this watered down society giving everybody participation trophies, which I want to celebrate the dads and do all of that. But, you know, the real talk, and I think what real fatherhood or real men believe is you don't got to stroke me for doing what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm a daddy. This is what daddies do, right? I take care of my family. I take care of the people around me. I appreciate the honor, the adulation, but, you know, daddy's gonna get on the grill today. Y'all go get on the grill. Yeah, it's the only holiday that you actually gotta work, right? That's kind of wild. But listen to me, I don't grill y'all. Like I ain't one of them daddies, but you know, I seen y'all. Julian in the building. I know my man is a real father. He steps in and does his thing for his family. But let me hit my opening music and all of that. We're going to get into this discussion. We're going to celebrate dads today. I'm going to give you some opportunity. I promise I'm going to let y'all talk today. I know I came in hot, but we're going to have a good conversation. We did this for Mother's Day. I was surprised that people showed up. So we're going to do it for Daddy's Day, right? I appreciate y'all being here, but let me get you with my theme music, and then we go.
Urban intellectuals. Open your eyes. Urban intellectuals, yeah. In a world that's unjust, I'm screaming, we love us. Equipped with knowledge, we are dangerous. In a world that's unjust, I'm screaming, we love us. Equipped with knowledge, we are dangerous. Yo, you got the power in the palm of your hands. I mean, literally, 52 flashcards, all about black history. They focus on success and less about miseries. Information is the missing piece. Are you familiar with Black Wall Street or the Haitian Revolution? How about Angela Davis or Huey Newton? Mark Dean helped create IBM. Richard Wright was a poet. Have you ever heard of him? Get familiar with your culture. Women like Evelyn Granville probably paid the way for Oprah. We're trying to be fly like Miss Bessie Coleman or like James Baldwin. I could be a spokesman. Man, the power of the black fist. What you know about the 68 Olympics? Dick Gregory, yeah, he kept it realer than most. Dr. King was instilling the hope. Let's keep it going.
Open your eyes.
Open your eyes, right? Open your eyes. Let's have a good conversation and one stood around fatherhood today. So again, shout out to all the dads out there. Shout out to y'all fathers. I want to hear some daddy day stories, right? Stories about either your husband, your spouse, your children's father, your grandfather, the mentor in your life that you view as a father. I would love to hear all of those stories today. I'm gonna ask some tough questions. I might be a little bit controversial. I know that's shocking to most of y'all because dare I do some controversy? You know, who, me? That type of thing. At least I play. But before we get all the way in and I open up the mics, one, again, let me know if this is your first time here. Two, if it is your first time here, I encourage you to get to the microphone and participate with us. The conversation is always better if you participate. Three, if y'all been here, y'all been rocking with us, let me know that as well. So I definitely appreciate y'all being here and engaging my shenanigans and fun here at Grandma's house. Y'all know that's our theme here at Sunday Dinner, reuniting the family and bringing us back together like we used to, sitting around the dining room table and having those important conversations about family connection and our future, sneaking off in the back or even into the basement with our favorite cousins and having deeper conversations, I'll say, with our age bracket. But let's just do this open and honestly in this discussion here today. I want to bring a dad to the forefront, right? So I want to bring in my man, Julian Sample. I want to have a conversation with the good brother real quick, but I'm put you on the spot, brother. Because hey, first of all, happy Father's Day. How you doing?
Man, doing good, bro. Happy Father's Day for sure.
Yeah, good to see you, man. This is my man, y'all, and I'm a bad friend because I ain't been seeing him in a while. But we gonna do it virtually, right? We're gonna catch up real quick.
Yes, sir.
Give us a story about your daddy.
Yeah, man, I feel like I was incredibly blessed to have Madison in my life.
I love that. Say his name.
Madison.
Yeah.
And Man, I grew up in a household with an older brother and older sister. Pops definitely laid down a great example of what it meant to be a black father. Definitely spent incredible amounts of time with us, with each of us, dedicated to trying to develop us to be the best human beings that we can be. And I think he was effective because he wasn't just a man of words. He led his life in such a way that he wanted to provide an example that we could actually view and be able to have something to really reflect upon and to use as like something that we can refer to. I think that's the best example is if you're actually living what you're saying.
Right.
And I was happy to have him up until 2014. And I feel like me and my brother are carrying on the legacy with our families and our children.
That's what's up, brother. That's what's up. Let the people know how many babies you got. Babies. I say babies. We know they ain't babies no more.
Yeah, bro. I got 6 over here, brother. 3 boys, 3 girls.
Yeah. How old is baby girl now? The baby.
Baby is 13.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Man, I got both my youngest girls. They in the room with me supporting dad today.
I love it. I love it. Hey, baby girls. How y'all doing? I don't even know. They probably don't even remember me. It's been so long.
Right.
Yeah. That's all good, man. Well, I appreciate you, showing up with us today, brother. And I appreciate the example of fatherhood that you are, not only in your children's life, but the people that's watching you, right? I think sometimes we don't realize how many people watching us, right?
Yes.
So not only are you an example inside of your home, you're an example to your friend circle and your community. I think it's dope, man. I'm thinking any dad that give a damn. We ain't gonna get on the deadbeats, right? Because the majority of black men show up for their children despite the negative narrative that's in and about us. But I did want to bring you on because you're a dad and an entrepreneur, right? This is my man. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what you got going on. So let the people know. Let the people know what your new product is.
Okay. All right. I'll show it in the screen as best I can. Well, let me back up for a second. This is called Manpower. All right, it's an herbal-based supplement that we crafted. And when I say me, it's my family. It's a family business. We have been urban farmers in the city of Chicago since 2009. And really, one of our main missions is to help construct a sovereign food production system for our people. So, we're part of a group of, I say now it's 5 other farmers in Inglewood, Chicago. And we all grow our own particular items and have our own kind of specialties, but we come together twice a month to provide food to the community of Inglewood, as well as extended communities that surround that particular neighborhood. So our specialty, though, and life has kind of pushed us in this direction. Our specialty is medicinal herbs and plants. For example, we have close to now 300 elderberry trees, which people may say, oh, elderberry. And elderberry in Chicago with that many trees is definitely a rare situation. Along with elderberry, we grow other herbs. And really, it began with my parents, with their battle with cancer. I started growing particular medicinal herbs that were providing health and support to them during their struggles. And I found myself in the same situation. If I could say a few words about that, Fred.
Go for it.
Go ahead. So when I was 49, this is 2022, I had a surgery on my hernia. And I didn't know it at the time, but one of the potential, consequences of that surgery was erectile dysfunction. I had never dealt with this before, been married now, what's that, 28 years? And it was just incredibly stressful. And difficult situation to work through. In the beginning, I had to educate myself as to exactly what was going on and what I was dealing with. And along the way, I realized after research, there were particular herbs that could assist men in their battle for, I would say, recovery towards reaching, comfortable states of performance during sexual activity.
Well said. You walked around that well, but I think it's a good discussion because we talk about dads. I love the name Manpower, number one, but we talk about dads and fathers and virility, kind of being tied to our essence, right? So this
Yes.
conversation is important, but I think it's even bigger than just that, right? Because I know like you're farming, and I know you're about healthy foods because it's almost, I don't even know if almost is the right word. It's almost like the country's trying to kill us, right?
Mm.
With the chemicals that's being put into our foods and all of that. So I know like that's part of your farming mission. Can you just talk about maybe a little bit about healthy eating and the importance in
Yes.
like in the community and for dads and all that good stuff, right? Because they definitely trying to kill us. At least it feels like it. Uh-oh. Am I
Yeah.
frozen? You
It's
frozen?
so important.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Definitely true, brother.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Let me know if I'm good.
Yeah, you good. I think it's me anyway.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. It might be me. But what you said is so important, brother, because actually there's a few pillars that we refer to when we're talking about ED challenges. One is healthy eating. And there is a conspiracy out here, brother, because they want us all really to develop some sort of medical complication that will bring us into their systems, where we have to engage the medical community as well as the pharmaceutical community. And really, back to the reference I gave to my dad, my mom and dad were both from Mississippi. We always had a garden in the backyard. So there was an established example of, hey, we can be empowered enough to grow our own food, even on a small scale, for the family. And, I saw both my mom and dad tending to the backyard garden. When it was time to harvest, brought the food in. Next thing you know, a lot of times, same day, that food is on a plate, for lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
And I think that me with my family definitely carried that mission on. Things are really more perilous now because there's such a larger amount of processed foods. And, I'm sure most people are familiar with that term. So those are things we definitely want to stay away from because they contain many times chemicals that are very difficult for us to pronounce, let alone um, us being familiar with the effects that they have on our bodies.
Right.
Just one simple one I'll use just for the public. If you look at most soft drinks, most juices now, there's something in it called high fructose corn syrup. It's a cheap substitute for sugar. It's obtained from corn plants. And often these corn plants have been loaded with chemicals in order to boost their growth. It's just that corn syrup has a negative effect upon the human body and often leads to cancer. So that's just one small example. There's probably hundreds that I could refer to that it really is almost, it can seem like an extra job trying to keep up with all the things that we need to avoid.
Yeah, because especially because once you figure out the name, they just change the name. They don't
Yeah,
change the ingredient. They
right.
change the name
Yeah,
almost like ain't even almost to literally throw you off the scent, off the path. And I remember aspartame being one of them. They don't
yeah,
even call it aspartame no
right,
more. They
right.
changed it like and it's like it's just always it's like they trying to kill us. Like I don't.
Yes,
I think
yeah,
like that's that, right? But I think that's an important discussion that we need to have in the community, right? We can't keep ducking and dodging around that. So I love that. I know that's part of your ethos, right? Is kind of to change that conversation. But man, okay, so then you start learning about. I'm totally off the questions, brother. Like I don't know. I don't even know why I ask people what questions you want me to ask, because then I just get to saying what I want to say. But what I know, like you've gotten into these different herbs that I'm gonna plead ignorance around not knowing the name, and I know one of them is Astra something, right? Like so
Ashwagandha.
maybe Astra
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha. Look,
Yes.
I said Astra. Like, look, y'all don't be Alicia, don't be looking at me like that. I be
Yes.
if I
Yes.
don't know, I'm just gonna tell you I don't know, right? But Ashwagandha, I probably blew that again. But I know like you got a lot of different type of herbs that you kind of tap into. Maybe tell us a little bit about it and why they are important.
Ashwagandha is an excellent herb to start with. It's actually used by quite a few athletes currently. It it builds lean muscle. Okay. It also helps to calm the nervous system, and specifically related to ED. A lot of times, once you face ED and you go through a few examples, a few experiences, I should say, with it, with your mate, especially as a man, and I would often add, especially as a Black man, because there's all this extra responsibility on your shoulders to perform. There's the um, reputation of us being the most virile men on earth, right? And your wife has, or girlfriend, whatever, has, they have a history with your level of performance. And if you all of a sudden you're facing issues, man, this could be something that's incredibly stressful. And you really have to have skill and hopefully the kind of relationship with your wife or partner where you can discuss this issue. And basically, managing stress, calming yourself down, during the event and actually before, so you're not, you know, in a position where you're dreading, oh man, is this going to happen again to me? You know what I'm saying? So it helps to bring you to a state of peace inside so things can progress naturally and organically. Specifically, that's ashwagandha's strength in relation to ED.
Okay. Okay. All right, yeah, they was asking for the spelling. I got it. Ashraganda.
So you
Ashwagandha.
replace that R with the W.
Oh,
Yep, and
oh,
that's
okay,
it.
I see it. Oh,
Hmm.
oh, they was they was Google was using my misspelling
Okay, there it is.
in
There it is.
searching. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, ashwagandha. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So what you got? Come on, my man got a new product. I wanted him to be able to bring it out in front of our audience and just talk a little bit about it. But what's the link? How can we find it? What does it do? Give us all of that stuff.
Okay, I'm getting a little help from my daughters here with the
Oh,
link.
gotta let the pros in. We get it. Yeah, nah,
They get ready to drop it in the,
hey, oftentimes I need you need a teenager around now when it comes to
yeah.
this tech stuff. Okay. All right, baby girl done dropped it in there
Yes.
for us.
Okay. So they posted the link in the chat.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just so I could say a few more words about the product.
Please do it.
Often men are facing issues with circulation, blood circulation. I would say 2 or 3 of the herbs amongst the 10 address this issue. It promotes blood production, and it also promotes efficient blood circulation. And that, of course, during the process of maintaining an erection, you need efficient blood flow. Because if the blood flow is a little shaky, then you might find yourself in a situation where you're in between, in between being soft, in between, to hard. And you want your vessel to be able to trap a large amount of good blood in order to maintain a strong erection. All right, so that's one thing. I mentioned the ashwagandha for stress. Also, I say two or three of these herbs promote the production of testosterone. Testosterone is definitely an important piece to the puzzle. Often, as we age, we produce less testosterone, and really that's a key component to desire. And you want all of these things to be working together, things that you don't really think about before you face this issue, but you want all of these issues to be working together towards achieving and maintaining a strong erection. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
those are the major pillars: circulation, stress management, and testosterone production.
I love it. I love it. All right, so we dropped the link down in the comments, so I want y'all to support my man. So I'm seeing in the capsules there are 60 capsules. Is that per bottle? I see two
Yes,
bottles in the image. So, and then
yeah,
how long would a supply last? Is it one a day, two a day? Like what
it's
is?
it's two a day, and that's like a month supply, 30 days.
Okay.
You know, give or take a day or two, depending. But the reason I give that as a direction for use is because the three things I just mentioned, you can find yourself, if you use this regularly, you'll find yourself in a position where you can, what I call, constantly be ready. And what I found is the consumer really kind of approaches this type of product in two different ways. There's many that say, hey, if you're single, I got a hot date this weekend. I know it's going down. So I'm gonna pick up, a smaller version. It may be two capsules, 3, 4, that I can pay $15 for, which I'm gonna add that soon, you all. I'm sorry I wasn't ready for the day. But that particular consumer is really just thinking short term.
Hmm.
Many of us are married and are in long-term relationships and know that really we would like for things to proceed at a organic pace. And oftentimes when you are looking for a organic experience, meaning that it could happen at any moment, that means you want to be ready all the time.
Yeah.
And so taking capsules 2 a day will keep you at that plateau where you're always ready, just in case it's time for that moment to go down.
Yeah, and I guess it's different because there are additional medicinal value than just um
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, just yeah. So
yes,
I love that. And I was gonna ask you about, because they got the other, I don't know, Rose Sparks or whatever the honey, the folks be taking the honey or
yes,
something like
yeah.
that. But so this is more of a consistent long term and a natural solution. I think that's the thing.
That's so important to focus on. And you mentioned something important just a second ago. There are consequential benefits outside of boosting your sexual performance and desire.
Yeah.
Like one of the both ashwagandha and ginseng increase your energy level. And like part of the matrix of solutions, which is greater than just taking the capsules, if you're facing this challenge, is being physically active, having an exercise routine. And like many herbs in this formulation will support you and give you energy when you are, doing exercises, which is
Yeah,
definitely
and what about like, okay, for women, right? That, all right, they ain't got this issue, but I know that energy conversation like that you just put out, and I know like the menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, like the energy drain. A lot of us go through this anyway. So would ashwagandha and ginseng or some other like what? Like y'all, Julian is like really a herbalist, y'all. So he kind of we talking about this one thing, but like I kind of I want you to expound like maybe on some other uh, for my ladies that are in attendance. Like what maybe should they be looking for, or is ashwagandha something that maybe they should be considering, or just speak to any of that? Just go for it.
Yes. And I would say, like, I've been listening on Sunday now. This is my third week.
Oh, my man.
And I gather really from the participants, most of us are a little older. You know,
Yes.
I would say definitely 40 plus.
Well, we say season. Season.
Yeah, right.
Season. You see that seasoning in my beard. That's what that is.
Right, right.
I see the seasoning is strong in you as well.
Man, bro. It done took over, man. But yeah, like most of us have really accepted the reality that we are not as virile and we don't have the amounts of energy that we had when we were in our 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So yes, there are a number of herbs in this formulation that just really provide a boost to both men and women. Hey, you want to think with more clarity as you're moving through the day? That's another benefit of ashwagandha. If you are facing some sort of issue with pain, turmeric is one of the herbs that's in this formulation. I mentioned ginseng just for general energy. That's excellent. Like one of the best natural herbs that you could take just for increasing your energy level. And it's really interesting that nature has provided many solutions to us if we just open our eyes to what's out there and available for us to utilize and incorporate into our lives.
Right.
Oh, I wanted to add this other thing. Am I still clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Another thing for the women is that there is indeed benefit for you, but then we can't act like I'm just talking to the men or the brothers here, right? Because many of our sisters are in relationships with brothers, and much of this conversation you just have to talk straight. All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
look,
we grown on here, man.
Yeah,
it's
right?
grandma table. We grown.
So look, you may be in a situation where look, I want my man to be able to get in touch with some of the youthful vigor and energy that he once had. And this is a way that you can support him, because really, in honest to God truth, really having expansive conversations around ED, that open discussion and support from your wife or partner is a huge part to the puzzle of men really figuring out how to get themselves back to where they would like to be. And really, like, if you decided to make a purchase for your loved one and initiate a discussion like, hey, let's go on this journey to improvement together, then I don't think you can do anything better than that.
Yeah. No, that's dope advice, right? So here's the ultimate Daddy's Day gift. How about the gift of virility, right? So y'all check that link out if you're interested in support my man Julian Sample. I definitely appreciate you, brother. I'm getting inboxes like, I love this, brother. I love this conversation, and maybe we need to go deeper on this herbal conversation and natural healing. I'm like loving that. I got a couple of questions for you, brother. And then I promise y'all, we're going to dive deeper into daddies, and I want to hear y'all Daddy's Day stories. So don't y'all, look, there's 38 of y'all online. Julian didn't talk. So I'm expecting 36 daddy stories before we get up out of here. All right, Pamela, I see you. Don't be looking away. Don't be looking away. I'm seeing you. All right, Sharon, I see you too. William, all right, y'all on there. Alicia, you. I got my eye on you anyway. I appreciate y'all. But okay. Does it help with hormonal imbalance post-menopausal is one of the questions. And then I got another question about orgasms. Like somebody just inboxed me directly. Like, what about this? So, all right. So what you say about those? And then I see Sharon got her hand up. So maybe we got a question directly for you as well.
The first question about menopause. And I'm never really shy to say that I don't know. But to that particular question, I think that I'll take that question back and get an answer, but I don't have an answer to that question. And I'm sorry, sister. And maybe because a lot of my focus is really driven towards the men, I have to apologize to you for that. But as far as the other question, to orgasm. If
Wait, before you jump into that, let me
yes,
just say to your answer, I don't know. Thank you.
yes,
Because there's so many people just be talking. Like, it's okay to say you don't know. I'm gonna go back, I'll do some research, and I'll follow up with you. Like, to me, that just builds so much more credibility in my mind. I don't know if y'all like me, but I'm like, don't just bullshit me.
yes,
Like, just say you don't know and be like, I'll go put some thought and research into it, though. I'll get back with you. So I appreciate
yes,
that, brother. So I just want to say that. Sorry. Go ahead.
yes, yes. I think it adds to the issue of credibility and trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It definitely is a better outcome when you just say I don't know, and put in the work behind the scenes and come back with a good answer.
for sure. For sure. I know you will do it too. All right. So get to the big
Yeah.
O, and then we'll go to Sharon question for you or comment.
I'm glad that question came. I'm glad that question came up because it reminded me that I forgot to mention one of the benefits of taking this product. Orgasms will be full and satisfactory.
Hey man,
And
you made
I
for
will say
prime time
that.
TV, man. You I'm like, this brother clean on these responses. Now. Go ahead, brother. My bad.
Man, they are incredible because the herbs really allow you to engage your complete self. Just imagine if you are in the middle of the experience and like you feel like all of your consciousness, your desire, as well as your physical presence is all the way there at 100%. And here's another key, especially for us men, us brothers, I would say the bounce back time.
This brother is
I'm
made
gonna
for
tell
TV.
you, brothers. I'm gonna tell y'all, man. Look, I'm not gonna say it will do it for you every time, but I will tell you that there's been several times when I used it where right after the orgasm, I say within 3 to 5 minutes, I was back ready,
Bro,
and
you
I
back,
was
you
able to
25 again?
man, able to come back like 3, 4, 5 times, son. Yo,
Y'all
I
ain't
was like,
expect this
man.
conversation today, did you?
But yeah,
Sharon said no?
yes, man, that was man, when I experienced that, I was like, man, am I like 30 years younger?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it
I'm
was
afraid of it, bro. I don't want none.
definitely
I'm afraid.
yes.
So all right, now when you come in here, next time you come up, brother, you're gonna have to have something specifically for women too, because
Yes.
does it have a similar effect for women as far as orgasm or any of that? Are you not
Yeah.
sure yet?
Well, let's put that off to next time, bro, because
Okay.
I can't answer that. I do
Okay.
know that from research, there are products out there, and I've looked at their ingredients list. There are some similar products, but there are some products that are tailored towards the female that I haven't put my focus on, and I'll be ready for that the next time.
Okay. Let me get to Sister Sharon. I don't know if you got a comment, a thought, or a question for Julian.
No, I think he outdid himself. I was just going to talk about the longevity of a clean diet. I have many family members that are in their hundreds, in their 90s, and it's
Yes,
all based on that clean diet and country air and all that. My mother's side seem like they're the ones with the longevity. And that clean diet has a lot to do with it. My great grandfather, he worked until he was 90. He was a grave digger and he used to walk to work. He lived on about maybe 2 miles from the cemetery, and he'll walk that to and from. then come home and work in the garden. So he was always working, and he ate clean. I mean, he was, sometimes you say, why would you eat some of this? And he said, no, that's not healthy for you. And he lived to be 104.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
Wow.
that clean diet is it. I try to do it in my own life, but it's hard. It's hard.
Rough
It's
Yes.
out
hard.
here.
I
I do
love that
want,
fried chicken.
man, don't we all?
Don't we all?
I do want to say something behind what you just said, and that, as was mentioned earlier, diet is so important. And there's many roads that bring men to the ED challenge. Mine was my own unique challenge. For many other men, it's poor diet, the overindulgence of alcohol and tobacco, uh, having a overly stressful life. Those are all things that really, and a lack of exercise. Those are all roads that lead to the same destination with the challenge with ED. Now, I will say, Sharon, that the more plant-based, natural diet that you have, we got to figure most of human history, we were engaged with nature in a much more intimate way. I put it like that. Farming represents the greatest amount of time that humans have been engaged on Earth has been via farming, a close relationship, right? So, when we think about, like you said, fried chicken, burgers, hot dogs, pizza, pizza puffs, French fries, really food that is processed and has to go through some kind of process before we consume it. Our bodies have been crafted based upon, these millions of years that we've been on Earth. We're carrying genetics that have been crafted from that long period of time. So our bodies are used to eating natural things that really don't require much processing at all. That's how our bodies have learned to perform at its highest potential. So yes, making sure you're eating salads as much as possible, fruits and vegetables as much as possible, and those can be crafted in particular ways. Like, hey, I have a smoothie twice a day. Smoothie may have frozen fruit, but you're not eating and drinking something like from the store that is supposed to be healthy. It's a much more close, it's a closer relationship. Or I'm gonna juice cucumbers, celery, carrots. I'm gonna have a juice once a day. Something like that, that you have. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but if you do something that is keeping you connected to what you consume at a natural base level, you're going to find that your body is going to respond and be healthier than if you were not doing so. I also want to say one other thing. And this is great for Father's Day. And like you mentioned, Fred, a lot of times people are observing you and you don't know it. I would say one of the great influences of you, bro, and your father is that the example of being on top of physical activity, exercise, man. I can't tell you how much, you've motivated me. And, I do my thing, with the food, but with exercising, you definitely influenced me, man, to have something in my life where I'm doing some sort of consistent physical activity. It's so important. Because you got to, this is the last thing. I know I'm talking a lot.
Go for it.
Just like I talked about our genetics being crafted over such a long, extensive period of time with eating, it's the same thing with exercise, man. Most of our human history really has existed in natural settings where we had to walk great distances or do significant amounts of work every day that involved us, sweating and moving around. I would say really the modern human lifestyle is very sedentary. And if we want the body to be healthy and perform at optimal levels, we have to really accept the reality that we have to keep ourselves moving.
My bad. I'll be over here getting the next thing ready, y'all. But tell everybody where they can get the ultimate Father's Day gift. Right? This what the fathers in your life really want, man. Listen, we
Yes.
either a trip around the world, or preferably both. Actually, how about that? Now, go ahead, brother. Y'all good?
Yes.
Yeah. All
Well,
right. Let them know.
okay, I just posted the link in the chat again. The product is called Manpower. I think it's an excellent gift for, brothers, if you're making a purchase yourself, or the sisters, if you're making a purchase for your loved one. Could be your brother, could be your son, whatever the circumstances are. I'll also say that you would be supporting a Black family in business, and really the process of putting this really involved all of my children, because this is our first entry into like the herbal capsule market. So that involved buying a capsule making machine, mixing the herbs together ourselves, making the capsules ourselves, bottling it, putting the labels on, and I'm really
Go to the
proud of how.
website, brother. I was in
Yes.
Vegas. The brother called me, asked for some little bit of info, and took straight
Yes.
action. So that site y'all saw is like pure action, y'all. I love it.
Yes.
I love the
Yes.
tenacity.
Yes. And in the background, I really appreciate the fact that my family, children, all of us were able to come together and, get to the point where we are now, where we have a physical product that we're proud of and really willing to stand behind,
Yeah.
and offering it to our people.
Y'all, all right. This is Julian Sample, right? I just wanted to make some space. So this father, who's living his dream, right? Got it, building a business with his family, and got the baby, got the young ladies. I can't believe Gracie. I can't even. This is blowing my mind. But yeah, but living, this is what a Father's Day treat, right? Like you get an opportunity to see and grow something with your family. I know the feeling. It's a beautiful thing. And then you birth a seventh child in the form of this business, right? Because I know it takes a lot of labor, a love to get this out. But I'm proud of you, brother, and I definitely appreciate you. I'll be a better friend, man. I need to show up a little bit more, but I like. You can always text me, man. Hit me on Facebook. Y'all can catch me. Like I'm in that
Yes,
virtual world
sir.
now.
Yes, sir.
But I
Yes,
do want to
sir. Yes,
say,
sir.
you gave me some props, man. I want to give you some props. One, being a hell of a father, but two, being a positive influence in my life, y'all. My understanding of history and its importance, and like this whole conscious movement that's really a part of me. This man right here is a huge part of that. In the early 2000s, me and Julian used to be in this attic. Y'all don't understand. I'm talking
Yeah,
about like
bro.
8
Man,
p.m. to like 5 in the morning, watching
man,
videos,
for
talking
real.
to master teachers, digging into the history and culture. And if I didn't have somebody like him, because of course I don't, y'all probably understand when I say this, like we're the outcasts, right? We're the ones that people are like, yeah, y'all always on that black shit. Here you go with that again, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fortunately we had each other, and in addition, my entrepreneurial mentor as well. I got into the real estate appraisal business. This brother was a real estate appraiser, and he definitely mentored me and grew me in that space. Started in 2002. Wow, man, that's crazy how long ago that was. But
yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
I ever said thank you, brother,
yes.
for any or all of that, but I definitely have always appreciated you. And just for showing up and just being a good dude, right? Like just being a good guy and a hip hop head. Y'all don't even know, too. Really is the original hip
Yes,
hop head
sir.
out here. But I just
Yeah.
appreciate you, man. Happy Father's Day to you, good brother.
Man, real quick on the return on the volley back. Really appreciate you. making some time. Y'all, everybody, Fred is a real good, great brother. All right.
Don't be
And
ruining
I
my
really
reputation,
appreciate
man.
Fred making a moment for me to get on here and speak to the people here. Is, man, there's so much appreciation for that, brother. I really do appreciate you, man. For that.
Man, I got your back, brother. I got your back, any and all ways. So hopefully you stick around, man, and join into the conversation. Talk. Let's,
I am.
bro. We in the attic, man. It's back. This like 2004, 2005. Like we in the attic, man, kicking it, brother. Like,
Yeah.
put it in the air, brother. One time, right?
All right.
Hopefully you come back on and join in the discussion, man. But happy Father's Day to you, good brother. For real.
All
For
right.
real.
Thank you so much. I'm in the background. I'm hanging out.
My man, my man. All right, y'all. That I love that dude right there, man. That is Julian Sample. This is a good brother. He is definitely a good brother, and definitely got a good family. And yeah, brother, they want more from you, right? I'm already getting inboxes like, hey, we should have a discussion. But I love the herbal conversation, and we need to start having that more and more in our community. And Sunday dinner is really the platform for that in our space. So I'm gonna make some conscious effort to do just that. If y'all just joining, I appreciate y'all doing just that. But happy Father's Day to you and the fathers in your life. We are celebrating daddies, and we had an opportunity to do that with good brother Julian one time. But what I want to hear is some daddy day stories, right? So raise your Zoom hand and just tell us a story about your father. Tell us a story about the father of your children. Tell us a story about the man that you've seen growing up that you appreciated for whatever reason, right? Let's just use this as an excuse to throw some praise on some black men in and around you and your family. Let me start with a story, right? I'm gonna give y'all some 95 stories, right, today, right? That 95, that's my father, if you're not familiar, right? We call dad by his age. So every year he graduates to the next one. So he's 95 years young right now. He'll be 96 in October. And y'all know that's my traveling buddy, right? Like, so he's my international travel buddy. I like to move around the world in the African diaspora with my man, but COVID hit, right? So COVID hits in 2020. My man is miserable, y'all. Like, I'm glad he survived COVID because it's the human interaction, man. If we really underestimate that, he's not in a home. He don't want to go in no home. He don't need to be in no home. He's still driving. He got his faculties. He's a senior Olympian, right? They run and all that stuff. He works out. But y'all know how elder black folks gonna be in that yard, gonna be in that garden, right? So like he's in Michigan. So now he's in the pandemic. It's cold outside. He can't go into the yard. He can't go to the spa. He ain't going to the grocery store no more. The children are coming, bringing him his foods. He's really independent. It was hard on my man, right? So during that time, I didn't mean to tell this part of the story, but I'll just throw this in real quick. My nephew, he is all about family. Shout out to Joshua. Dude is like family extraordinaire. I love this brother, young brother, right? He got his own, just had his third child, his baby girl now. Got 2 boys and a girl. She the queen. She run the whole Taylor everything, right? But he was like, man, dad needs some interaction. How about we start a beer show? So I don't know if y'all are ever around back in those days. That's when we started the beer show with dad every Wednesday. We would get on during the middle of the day and drink beer and talk about it and talk about life, right? So over Zoom. So it got him an opportunity to get some interaction and have some fun. My nephew would go out there and go live with him and all of that. So anyway, we got through the pandemic. So then the next year, 2021, people wasn't really traveling, but some folks was outside. Some folks started moving around more than others. And I'm feeling him go stir crazy, right? Like the years before, like we going to Ghana, we going to Spain, we going to Morocco, like we're traveling, right? And that shutdown was on him. So I'm like, okay, talk to my nephew, and I'm like, hey man, let's take him to Vegas. Let's take him to Vegas. Let's go off the strip. Let's just get in the hotel where, we isolated. We ain't got to be near people. But dad's a water baby too, right? So it's like there's a pool. I'm like, we can eat it all right there inside. We ain't got to go nowhere. It was just like, let's get him somewhere. So we go to Vegas, right? And we're staying in Henderson, if y'all are out there. And I was just out there for like another event before, and I knew it. Yeah, go Joshua, right? And it's called Green Valley Ranch. I don't know if y'all ever been there. They got an excellent steakhouse there, by the way. Mm, yeah. You give me some bougie stuff and some wine, brother Freddie in it, right? And so is Dad, though. Dad, I know Dad got no Dad's level of bougie. Anyway, we get him there, and now we outside at the pool. The boys are there. We did our beer show live from one of the restaurants in there. We told them about it. They were like, "What? He got a beer show?" Like, bet. So now they giving us beers to rate. It was great. It was a total vibe, right? So now we outside by the pool drinking beers, just talking and laughing. Just me, Dad, and Joshua. And Dad's like, "Oh, he gonna get in the pool." Like, I think it's 2001, so he is 92, 91. I think it might have been before his birthday. He 90 plus, right? But he a water baby. So I'm like, I ain't worried about him in the water, right? But Joshua is concerned, right? Joshua is maybe more of a nurturing person than I am, but that's my daddy. He a superhero in my eyes. Like, you can't tell me Dad ain't a superhero, right? So anyway, Dad decides he gonna get in the water, but if y'all think I'm extra, he extra too, y'all. So he can't just get in the water. He got to go diving in the water. So anyway, I built all this up for this little story. I just love this dude, man. Here he is swimming in Vegas, right? Now, the caveat to this is, though, there's no diving signs all over the place. Right? There's no diving into these waters. But this is what y'all seniors are out here doing, or super seniors, as Dad would say. This is what they doing until y'all no diving signs. Of course, that's Joshua in the water, y'all, right there.
He gonna sleep well tonight, though. Good job. Yeah.
So after that happened, the lifeguard got to come over and basically tell him there's no diving in the pool, right? But of course, she came over and like, "Yeah, you're amazing." And we were like, "How old are you?" And she couldn't believe it. She was like, "Yeah, that was amazing to watch. You're such an inspiration, but there's no diving in the pool," right? Right? She had to tell him. Oh, we laugh to this day. If I go home, we gonna laugh about that. I can't wait to bring it up and show him that again. But that is my dude there, man. He lost his wife. My mama passed in 2019. So right before the pandemic, then it went into the pandemic. When you lose a longtime partner, I'm gonna say it like like I'm him, right? But if you lose studies show you lose a long time partner, it's really tough on the surviving spouse. And then rolling right into COVID, it was like crazy. So of course we tried to overly make sure that he was all right. But you know, he's happy, he's ecstatic about life. But one thing he talks about being 95 is all your friends dead. Like all of his real people are gone. He's like literally the last one, and he's making connections with, obviously the younger generations and, and different friends around him. But, all the people that really understand the life that he's seen since 1929, the changes in this, like, and yeah, like sometimes I'm talking to him and I just be thinking about all the shit he done seen, right? Like, just the washing machine, right? Like stuff we don't even think about, right? Like he has just seen like every evolution of it, and vacuum cleaners, like, and ironing boards. Like it's insane, just the amount of technology. Now we talking about. I got him on Chat GPT, y'all. Y'all in the AI now. Oh, he's always been in the tech. He want the new stuff, right? One more story. I see y'all ain't got no hands up. Y'all gonna get these 95 stories all day now, but Um, ever since I can remember life, there's been a computer in my house. Like I don't remember a day in my existence of not having a computer not only accessible to me, like mine, like like it's. I went off to college in the '90s, the mid '90s. My parents bought me a laptop, like, and I remember the young adults coming into my room, and they'd be like, "Damn, you got a computer and a printer in your room? Like that's crazy." And I was just thinking, like, you don't? Like it never occurred to me that people didn't, man. But I always credit that young man because he's always been about the tech. I think he bought his first computer in '74 or something like that. I was born in '76. This is why, like, I only remember a computer being around all the time, right? And I definitely, during the straw discussion yesterday, we were talking about the family that you birthed into and that environment that you grow up in and how important it is and all of that. It is really what made me start reflecting on a lot of this, and was just like, well, damn. I mean, talk about somebody had the deck stack. I mean, I feel like I had the deck stack. Hopefully all of y'all feel that way. Like, you love your parents and what they tried to do for you. But I definitely this and it all right, my last joke. My last joke. That was a joke. As terrible as I am with technology, I ain't got no excuses, y'all. Like I just told y'all, ever since I've been born, there's a bit of computer around, and I'm terrible on this thing. That's funny. That's funny to me. Anyway, Asa, did I get that right? Correct me, brother. Get me right. Get me
No, it's
together.
Asa. Yeah, that's it, brother.
Asa.
Yep.
All
Can
right,
you hear
good,
me?
good,
Good.
good to see you, good brother. You back, right?
Yeah, man.
I know I've talked to you before, right?
Yep.
All right, all right. Come on, you gonna tell us a daddy story?
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about the positive impact that, you know, a father can make in a son's life. And
I
I'm going
love
to
it.
talk about the experiences with my son and I. So, he was when he was 12, or coming up to being to grade 12, or to age 12, but going into just finishing grade 6, he was doing piano. So I told him, okay, once you reach grade 6, after you finish grade 6, if you no longer want to do piano, that's fine. However, you're not going to be, sitting around just playing on the computer. So if not, then I'll put you in ear cadets. So of course he doesn't think that it's going to happen, right? He's like, yeah, whatever, right? That kind of attitude. So so he finished grade 6, goes into grade 7. So here I live in Canada. So in September of that year was when they had registration. So I said, come on, the registration night, let's go and let's find out more about the Air Cadets and how you can sign up and everything else like that. So I mean, he was a bit surprised because he didn't think that I would follow through on it, right? So we go there, we sit down, and they do the presentation and everything else like that. So after the presentation, I said to him, "Okay, go sign up." So here, to sign up for Air Cadets, the kids have to sign up and fill out the application themselves,
Mm.
right? So he fills out the application, and then one of the questions that they ask on the application is, "Why do you want to join Air Cadets?" And he puts, "I'm joining Air Cadets because it's being imposed on me." Which I was cool with. Like, I mean, hey, that's the way you feel, that's the honesty, but however you're doing it. Anyway, my brother, you see, and this is how, as a father, sometimes, and the reason why I wanted to put him in Air Cadets is it wasn't because he had any kind of discipline problem or anything else like that, but I know the type of person he would benefit from it, right? So it's a 6-week recruiting program. So he goes through the recruiting program, and at the end of the recruiting program, there must have been like 60 new recruits. So they have the graduation night, and then they're starting to talk about the most promising best recruit. So they're describing this person who went through the 6-week program and da 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 da. Now, as he's going through this, every so often I'd ask him, "How's it going?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, it's going okay. Yeah, it's going okay," but no real, enthusiasm about it. Anyway, long story short, they come to the end and they say, "Okay, the recruit the number one recruit or the most promising recruit in this recruiting class is my son. They called his name. And I
Wow.
was like, wow. But my son is the kind of person, once he gets involved in something, he has to be the best,
Okay.
right? Because that is something that we talk about with our family, is that the only person you have to compete against is you.
Hmm.
So every day you have to be better. That's it. So anyway, as time goes on, he wins best recruit, best first year cadet, best second year cadet, becomes a corporal, a sergeant, a flight sergeant,
Wow.
goes through the whole program, does a leadership course. Now he's getting really into it now. And here it's all free, these programs. He does a leadership course, an 8-week course, and every week they've got to read a different book on leadership and things like that. And so, so he starts to excel. He starts to become one of the instructors and stuff like that. So then last year he applied to they've got like a glider school, and it's very, very, very competitive because people all over Canada, cadets all over Canada, apply, but they've only got a limited number of spots. Long story short, he gets one of the spots, goes through the course, 6-week course, gets his glider license. Now he gets his glider license before he gets his driver's license.
Wow.
Right? And now this year, he applied and he got into the power license. So he's going to learn how to fly single engine planes,
Wow.
right? Also, he's going to university, and one of the application process part of the application is different things that he's done. And even for his jobs on his resume now, he can put all these accomplishments that he's done through the cadet program. But the thing with him and I is where I always tease him is every time he makes an accomplishment that he does something good, I always say to him, "Oh, this is something that you've achieved, even though it was imposed on you, right?" So we have that little laugh between us and banter between us. Anyway, all of that to kind of say that as a father, right? Don't your kids look to you for direction, and it's not a matter of imposing or being dictatorial, but sometimes you make certain decisions and you kind of present them something or even push them in a certain way where they don't even realize it. Listen, I didn't even realize how much of a benefit it would be to him and for him, right? So now to the point where, you know, um he's going to be the valedictorian. He's graduating high school and he's the valedictorian. A
Wow.
part of it also is because of the discipline that he's learned. He's Last week he told me that just so that he can stay focused on what he wants to achieve, he's deleted himself off of TikTok and Instagram because for him, he doesn't want any sort of distractions. So
Wow.
all of this kind of comes, and what ends up happening is, to replace that, he's now reading a lot of different books on Black history and Black accomplishment and Black excellence and things like that, and biographies and things like that. So the impact as a man and as a father that you have on your children, right? A no isn't a no, right? For a lot of them, a no is, well, they don't really know. When they say no, is because they don't know. But as a father, if you know and you want to have that positive influence, right? I always say that as a father, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be present. And the more you're present, the more you can nurture. So I just want to encourage all the fathers out there, on this call. Your kids are looking to you for leadership. I know you talk a lot, and I get a lot of your emails and a lot of your, the things that you send out, on Black leadership. And Black leadership starts at home, and Black excellence starts at home. And, just like for him, sometimes I look at it too, that sometimes I may not know and may not understand, but it doesn't mean that I cannot take that direction, right? Because the more that you can take direction and take advice or take instruction, or someone is telling you, hey, you need to try this or you should try this, the more that you can, once you're successful, because success breeds success, you can pass it on to your children, to your son, to your daughter, and once they see the success that you achieve through what you're doing, the going out on that limb, you will have that positive influence also in their lives. So happy Father's Day to the brothers.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. That was great. That was excellent. Yeah, we got claps and claps from the gallery, good brother. Yeah, yeah. We need like a sound. Y'all gonna come in one day. I'm gonna have like applause, the horns and the whole nine. That was good, man. Thank you for sharing that. And congrats to the son. But I should have left you up on camera, but um I can see that pride in you, boy. Somebody a proud papa, man. I
Yes,
love
he
it, brother. I
is.
love
Yes,
it,
he
man. And definitely
is.
that's awesome. It's nothing like seeing your children blossom, right? And I like that you said their no isn't necessarily a no. And I like to add because they don't know, right? K-N-O-W, right? So sometimes seeing it, you see what's in your child and you know it's something special. Like you say, maybe you didn't see it blossoming into that, but hey, let's go with it, right? If he like it, you love it, right? That's how it goes. So congrats to you and the family, man. So that's beautiful, brother. And thank you for sharing that with us. All right, Alicia, grandma was gonna pull you up on stage anyway, so
Somebody was, huh?
yeah.
Well, I just want to first say happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there because they are important in life. And a lot of men don't step up to be that, but I'm just glad that Asa was a proud father because you can tell he brought his son up right. And it was just something that was instilled back in the day. And then all of a sudden, we don't know what happened. But my father was one of those men who was very instrumental in my life and my brother's life. He came from, well, I'm from Detroit, Michigan originally.
What
And I
up,
grew
doe?
and I grew up all the way to high school and then left after high school. Because my parents taught us, you turn 18, you either go and get a job, not just any job, you got to get a career. And we made sure that we um, chose what we wanted to do, but they gave us choices. They said, you go in the military, you go to college, and me, I'm the one that did all three. So we can
Wow.
talk about that some other time, I guess. But I just want to say that my father came from Jamaica. He lived in South Carolina. In South Carolina, he transformed into Michigan when they had the auto industry.
Okay.
So he brought all the family that was in South Carolina to Michigan, and everybody made their decision where they were going to stay. So most of them stayed, and I didn't know this because I was a little kid. All of them stayed in our house. So it's like 50 people in the house, and I'm like, who are these people? So they started introducing and everything when I was able to talk, but I would just be looking up and seeing so many people in the house. But that was my father. My father would not leave anybody behind in whatever he does.
Mm.
So he went into the auto industry, and then from the auto industry, he saved up enough money to where he bought a Cadillac for himself. He bought one for my mom, and then he went into his own business, barbering. He owned his own barber shop. First one in the neighborhood on 12th Street. I don't know if you know where that's at, but 12th Street, he had the first barbershop. Man, the lines were out the door to see a brother having his own business.
Wow. Wow. What year was this? You know?
Woo! I can tell my age now.
Yeah. I'm just fascinated.
It
Was
was the
Black Bottom
late,
around? Was it
it was
Black
the
Bottom?
late 60s, early 60s.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Well, he
Diamond in
must
the
have,
back. Sunroof. Okay. All right.
and
Cecilia, I got you with that one.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Y'all ain't know I had that in me. Okay. Okay.
And then what he did was he brought in his brother to be one of his barbers, taught him how to barber. And because he's like,
Wow.
look, man, you're gonna stay in my house. You gonna have to work somewhere.
Get some of
Because
this
he didn't want to
money.
go into the auto industry. So it was like you going this way too. So even everybody, my brothers didn't went into the auto industry. But I was my father's, I guess the son he never had, or son he always wanted, because when he got up at 5 o'clock, he said, hey, we're going fishing. We got to fish and make this, feed for dinner. And I said, oh, I want to go. And he was like, what? I said, I want to go fishing. I want to know what you know. But me and my father did everything together. I mean, he taught me how to iron, he taught me how to sew, he taught me how to do the dishes. So I was the one that always wanted to do everything. And I really realized that. So when I got married and I told my husband, let's go fishing, he was looking at me like, what you know about fishing? So I was telling him how I grew up. Then it got to the point where I would tell him about everything I knew I do. He's like, I said, Dad, I had a flat tire. So I'm going in the trunk, and he's like, what you know about changing the tire? Told you my daddy taught me all of this. And he was like, and I said, oh, let me check the oil because I've been driving over 3,000 miles. He was like, oh, Lord. He said, who did I marry? But it was the point that I told him, I said, I grew up where my daddy made sure you knew everything. And if you didn't do it, he wasn't going to push you. But if you didn't want to do it, he was like, okay, hey, this is your life. This is what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So, long story short, my father, he passed away when he was 82, but all the way up to the age of 80, he was running, and he always kept physically fit. So I got to the point where I was always running with him and kept in shape and everything. So growing up, it just seems like I thought everybody had what we had. Yeah. But when I go out the door, it was totally different. I didn't know my neighbors were poor. I didn't think that, but we were the only family had the mother, father, uncle, cousin, sister, brothers, all in the house making money and sharing and going places. Every weekend we would go. If we're in Detroit, we would go to Dearborn. If we were, every weekend we were going to each one of the cities within there to eat and everything, and everybody see us and we eat good, and I thought it was normal. But when I grew up, I didn't see that wasn't normal. But it just made me so proud of my father that he brought them with him. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to Detroit, see y'all later. He said, hey, I'm going up there to work, going to the auto industry. They're just starting it. Let's go. And everybody said, okay, we'll go. So that's what I liked about him. He always was helping people. Even in the barbershop, he would have holidays where he would cook and invite everybody in the neighborhood or everybody to come and get their hair to eat. And they didn't have to pay for it because he always paid for it. Cutting hair. If somebody came in the barbershop and said they couldn't afford to get a haircut, he would cut their hair. So it was the point of his giving. And then I saw him when we were going to church the whole time, but he stepped up to be a deacon in the church. And I was really proud to see that because I was like, that's my daddy. Because he always did everything. He didn't matter. Even if, the kids in the church needed food, he'll say, hey, here's $1, go buy you something. So, and I was like, hey, okay, does that take away from my little food? I was a brat because I was the only girl and I had 2 brothers. So it was, and even my uncles treated me like I was their daughter. So I didn't even know they were uncles. I thought I had plenty of dads because they were there. But they always made sure, even when I was going to college, they all chipped in, bought me a car, and made sure I, stayed in the dorm and everything. And when I decided I wanted to leave Michigan, my mom didn't want me to. So my mom took my car. She said, nope, she ain't going nowhere. And my dad said, this girl wants to venture life. I don't know if you've seen her growing up. She's not normal. So I don't even know why you're going to think she's going to sit here and do what you do or whatever. But he did. And after she took my car, he just went to the dealer and said, what kind of car you want? And I was like, what kind of car? I said, I want a car to get me to A to B. And he said, where you going? I said, I'm going to Anderson, South Carolina. I'm going to go to college there. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after that. So I just wanted to get away. I just wanted to be, it was a lot in the families, too many. And I was getting like, I think I'm too grown to be around all these men and everything. So I think I need to go and venture out, and which I did. But all the way through my days of school, he would make sure he'd be to the PTA meetings. My mom, she worked in the bank. She was a bookkeeper. She was one of the first female bookkeepers in NBD, National Bank of Detroit.
I got my first bank account.
Yep. And she was one of those like, I'm all of this. So we couldn't compete. But one thing I did not like when I was growing up is when we would go downtown. My mother's light-skinned, but she's lighter than I am. My father couldn't go, and I didn't know back then why. But when I think it was about, he was about 50 or something, and I said, why couldn't you go downtown with us when I was little? And that's when he told me all the stories about segregation, and he was too dark-skinned, and
now this is Michigan.
It's in Michigan at Hudson. We were going to Hudson's. I had on my little dress with my bobby socks and my patent leather shoes. And me and my mother stylish with her little hats and everything and stylish clothes. And my dad was walking behind us. And then when we walked through, I didn't see my dad. So I didn't know what happened. I just thought he maybe went to go park the car or something. So they never did talk about integration and segregation that was going on at that time. They just made sure I had what I wanted or what I needed and make sure I knew, that you are special. No matter what you're doing, you do it to the utmost. No matter if somebody say you can't do it, try it. And then if you don't succeed, then that wasn't for you. So they always instill positive stuff in us. And that's what I loved about my dad. I put on Facebook so many pictures of my dad and how I honored him. And my son is the splitting image of him. I don't know. I'm going to show this picture. I don't know if you can let me see. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
He
That's my
is.
son. That's my son and my father. I don't know why my father can't come out. Let me take it
Yeah.
out the frame.
Saw
But
him on the
that's where you can see my father's dark and my son is emulated him. My son, he worked for the presidents. He worked for Obama. He worked for Biden. I got a picture of them on my chest because he instilled from my dad. I'm trying to get this.
There you go.
There
Yeah.
you go. So that's my dad
Yeah,
and my
shoot. You would
son.
think that's his son.
Right. Perfect image of him.
Yeah.
Perfect image.
He had to be wild looking at him like man, that's me. Like that's me. Like I'm talking to
And-
myself.
And I told my son when he went into the military, I said, Granddad's going to be proud of you. He says, I know. I wanted to do it because he was in the military.
Oh wow.
And I was like, oh, I forgot. I said, he must have talked to you a lot. He
Yeah.
said, yeah.
I said, why you know that?
Right. And so when he was going, I said, well, let me tell you one thing. I says, don't do what all the other boys are doing or anybody else is doing. Be James. He is named after my dad. So my dad is named James Brown, which I got teased about it all the time, all through school. People calling, your dad who? James Brown. I was like, no, he don't know how to sing. He don't know how to sing a note. I don't even know. Don't even ask him to sing. He heard me do it one day and he came downstairs. He said, oh, somebody know me? I said, they don't know you. They think you James Brown the singer. He said, I am. I feel good. He would do something crazy. And I'd be like, see, you done got something started. No, he does not really know how to sing. So it was just how he made life fun and how he made so positive. There's a lot of things I don't want to talk about that went on when I would go to school because everybody thought I was being a smart ass and all that. And they would call me all kind of little names, Miss Prissy, big you a brat and all of that. And I was like, I'm not none of those. I don't even know where y'all got that from, but it's just the way it was. And because I would come to school dressed with bobby socks, dress, patent leather shoes, and my dad made me carry a briefcase with all my stuff. And I said, can I just take my books in my hands like everybody else? He was like, no, you got to be professional all your life. You got to make sure whatever you do in life, you're professional.
Wow.
So yeah, but it helped out because when I got to high school, I had a 4.2. So I ended up going to school from 8 to 12 and then from 1 to 4:35, I was working at GM. I was the first female working in the mailroom at GM. So the pattern that he set for me and my family helped us to be entrepreneurs and keep going and not worry about, other things or what people say, because people are going to talk. They see he said, oh, they talked about Jesus. So, they're going to talk about you. So let it go. So that's my story. And I still think of my dad every day. Me and him in this picture talk to each other because he just made me to be the woman that I am. And like I said, me knowing how to do everything that a man can do, my dad was really proud of me. He would have it up in the barber shop. Everything, every certificate I earned. So it was just, I wish he was here today because I miss him so much. So that was my story.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, we can definitely tell you, you're daddy's girl. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's worse things to be called. I promise.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
No, it sounds like he was a terrific person and left a
was.
hell of an imprint. And thank you for sharing that with us. Right. I just really want to know, is he super bad? I couldn't help it. I was like, I'm not gonna do it, but
I thought he was too, because especially with the Cadillacs, I was like, dang, yeah, both.
Oh,
I said, why did I get a
lax.
Cadillac for graduation? I think I got a what did I get? I got a van, a custom made van. He had Alicia on the side of it, Miss Alicia.
What?
Yes, it was
Oh, you
custom.
was
It was
showing
my
out
color. My
too.
color was red. So the inside interior, he got it custom to be red. It had a couch. It was like my little home. So I was like,
Hey, y'all was
must
rich,
be really
rich.
spoiled.
Hey, y'all was rich, rich. That's what that is. Like, no, but digging into the story just a little bit, I was like, why not? Let's have some fun, right? But
Okay.
you talked about the cousins, the uncles, everybody staying in the same house, everybody working, everybody picking up a secondary hustle, everybody sharing with one another, going
Yep.
out back, picking from the foods in the house,
Absolutely.
and then
Absolutely.
everybody else in the community. I ain't gonna say everybody, but other people are struggling in the environment, but they're not doing something similar. That sounds like
Correct.
community economics inside of the family. Like maybe it's just possible that could be a hint on what we should be doing moving forward rather than the isolationism that we own now. And
Yeah.
like
But
your
one
dad
other
didn't just
story.
go to Detroit and leave everybody behind. He said, come on, let's go get this money together.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
So then later on, we were all grown and we were going to a family reunion in Anderson, South Carolina. No, not Sanderson. We was going to Charleston, South Carolina. So my dad rented this big old van and everything, and we're riding around the town, and he saw this big match. I mean, it was huge. He was saying, "Yay, maybe we can do this like we did in the old days, all be together again." And my older brother said, "Who want to live with all you niggas?" Every time. My dad was totally shocked. He was like, "What?
Wasn't
What did
prepared for
you
that.
say?" We all in the van, like, I don't know if we should get out or not, because I think they're gonna beat him. But for him to say that, it got quiet on that van. It was quiet. Nobody said a word because we were like shocked that he said it. So we knew he wasn't gonna be the one that participated in the family activities like we all did. And sure enough, he didn't. We had family reunions. He ain't show up. So he grew out of what my dad had taught us, and we were kind of like shocked. But
Yeah.
sometimes that's the way you got one. They always say you always got one in the
Always
family.
got one. We always don't. Let's not be surprised. But no, that's good. Thank you though for sharing those stories. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you. And you gave me an opportunity to highlight the North, like the segregation in the North, because you always taught you just got to the North in the Mason-Dixon line. These white folks is good white folks. They gonna treat you like a normal person, right? Right? That wasn't necessarily the case. I know Dad always tell a story about the day Dr. King was assassinated, and he was in the lunchroom there at the mail office in Detroit, and he talked
Mhm.
about how they cheered. Oh,
Yeah,
he talked about how they cheered and they
they
talked
sure
about Dr.
did.
King like a dog. And now everybody like, oh, Dr. King, like he like,
Right,
like boy, don't you be listening to these folks' words. These
right.
words don't mean nothing. They
Nothing. But
smack.
even the older brother that I talked about that didn't want to be part of family, him and my father got a picture and it got burnt up in the fire where he had him on his shoulder at the march. So
Mm,
he took him to the march. I said, he got a chance to go to the march. That crazy. He was like, that was my oldest son, but he got a chance to do something or see what it was all about, the
right.
segregation and all the things what Dr. Martin Luther King was about right there. And I'm like, man, I wish I'd have got that opportunity. But I was too
Hey, it
young
sounds
for
like you
that.
got enough opportunities.
I'm saying, but that was one I would have
No.
loved to have done.
Sister Alicia, she lived life, boy. You know what I'm talking about? You get your own van with your name on the side. Come on, I thought I was someone when I got the airbrush shirt
Oh, we
and
didn't talk
the
about that. I
matching
had a
hat. Like
boat.
we was
He put a boat
outside.
with my name on it. He bought a boat and he put my name on the side. My mom was like, "Well, you could have put my name." And I think I
Yeah.
did his favorite
Nah,
because
baby girl
everything.
had to go up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we gonna go from one Alicia to the next. How about that?
Hi,
This is
Alicia.
yeah.
Are
Hey, sister, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. I love that. First of all, thank you for having this discussion and giving us a space to honor fathers.
Yeah.
I invited my two kids who'll be at TSP Live with me, Brandon and Kayla. They're on.
Oh, excellent.
Go
Hey,
on
hey,
and say
Brandon, Kayla.
that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I and thank everybody else I have really enjoyed this, hearing the dad stories. My relationship with my father, who I lost in 2013, was complicated. And I do want to take this moment to say that I appreciate him for doing the best that he could do and for showing up in the way that he could, despite the obstacles that he faced. And one of the things that really opened my eyes as I got older, and this is like after he passed, I was attending it was like a psychology training, and the psychologist is a Black male psychologist, and he really helped with Black people and marriages. And so he said this man and woman came into his office, and the husband was talking about how much he didn't like his father and how mean his father was and how much tension they had in their relationship. And so he's like, well, tell me a little bit about your dad. And he learned that this gentleman's dad grew up in like the 1930s. He was brilliant. He was, super intelligent. And so he just helped the son unpack what he thought about his dad. And he was like, a lot of times we go through things and we think this is what our parents are. Like, oh, they're mean, they're hard, they're this, they're that. And he's like, think about what it was like to be a Black brilliant man, but unable to really fully do all the things that you're capable of doing. And so that when I heard that,
You muted on us. I don't know if I did it.
when I heard that, it allowed me to have more sympathy and empathy for my dad as a human. Like, when you're young, when I was young, it was like, oh, he's not doing this, he's not showing up for me in the way I would like him to show up. But I was like, oh, maybe my dad wasn't mean. Maybe he wasn't distant. Maybe he became that out of the harshness that the world put on him as a brilliant Black man. So I want to, at this Sunday dinner with y'all, I hope I can be emotional, because Father's Day is an emotional experience for me. But I want to say the things. I want to honor my dad with words in a way I didn't get to before he died. Coming into an understanding, now being a parent of my own, making mistakes of my own as a parent, realizing I had my own, I bring my own trauma to raising my kids. And I want to say that I appreciate how he taught me about the value of hard work. A funny story. I was like the kid who, like, I didn't pack my lunch. And so he would always be leaving for work, and I'd be at the bus stop. And I'm like, oh, Dad, can I get $1 so I can, buy lunch? And he was like, no, but you can earn $1. So maybe next time either you pack your lunch or you can like shine my shoes or something like that. But he like never really like gave me anything. He told me to earn it. And in the moment, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna have me hungry at school. He could just give me $1. But I appreciate that now, because it taught me to earn what I want, to not just ask for someone to give me something. So I appreciate that value of hard work that he instilled in me that I didn't appreciate when I was, 9 or 8. But as an almost 50-year-old, I'm like, absolutely. Thank you, Dad, for that. And I didn't get to say that to him. I appreciate him that he made sure that my needs were met. I have learned that he had his own childhood trauma with his mom and their relationship. And so he could have not been there at all. So I appreciate that he still showed up in the best way that he could. He was brilliant at math. I'm not as brilliant at math, but I do enjoy math. I see that in my kids. He was in the military. He served our country.
They say math skips a generation. So don't,
Yeah, it skipped me. I mean, it did not come as easy for me as I see it coming for some of my kids, and it was for him. He served in the military. He was an officer in the military. I loved how he was practical and logical. I do see that part of him in me. I do have like this creative, free flowing part, but then I do hear his voice like, okay, well, let's do an Excel spreadsheet and let's run the numbers. And, you know, like, I love that part of him is in me. He's quick-witted. He always had like this kind of funny, quick wit that he would say the things that maybe we were thinking that we were like, oh, we probably shouldn't say that out loud, but he would. And as I'm getting older, my filter's dropping a little bit. My kids will probably be like, and yes, it is.
Like, Mama had a filter? I didn't realize.
So I'm recognizing that some of that quick wit and some of the things that are in my head kind of spill out. And I appreciate seeing that part of my dad. He was a biker. He loved motorcycles. And one of my favorite memories was, again, we didn't spend a lot of time together, but there was this one day he was like, I asked him, I was like, well, I want to go on a bike ride. We grew up in Hampton, Virginia. So he took me, just me and him. We went on a bike ride to Williamsburg. It was some little, I think it was like a Black-owned barbecue spot. And I got my barbecue sandwich. And I just remember that day like it was yesterday. And I was probably maybe 10. And I just appreciated that, again, whatever he was going through as a Black man, that I appreciate that moment. And I still have that moment with me right now. So I wanted to share that. And then I wanted to honor my husband, who is just amazing. He is amazing. He is so present for my kids. He was the only child. And we have 4. So it's louder in our house.
Bless y'all ministry. Oh Lord, I almost passed out. Like you said it. I'm sorry. Hey children, how y'all doing? Looking forward to meeting y'all in a couple of weeks. But oh my Lord. Woo, blessed be. Goodness. All right, okay. I'm gathered. I gathered.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. We learned like his grandfather, his grandfather, they were basically sharecroppers, like modern day sharecroppers.
Wow.
And like just the hard work that his family put in. My husband graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy. One of the first, I don't know if he's the only, but I think he's definitely one of the first to get his degree. And I want to say things about him that aren't typically spoken about Black men when you see Black men talked about in the media. I appreciate how gentle my husband is. He is so like chill. He is so gentle. He is loyal. He's consistent. We can trust him. I can trust him. My kids can trust him. He's dependable. And he's so loving in his own way, in his own little only child way. He has his little man cave because he needs it from us.
I'm feeling shots at the only children here. I don't know if we got some only children out there. I'm not an only child, but I'm feeling shots. There's some shots being fired.
No shots. I just he's his space, and we're like all in his space. And he's like,
right, okay, I get it. So okay. So he always had his own room. He's always had his own space. Yeah, now he doesn't.
And we just took all his space, and so I appreciate that about him though, because he could like really withdraw a lot more. So so I appreciate that he shows up. So I just wanted to say that and honor my dad again verbally in a way that I wasn't able to, because I didn't have the understanding and the maturity as a parent, and having made mistakes as a parent, keep living, and you're like, okay, I'm human. My parents were human, just like I am. And to verbally honor my husband for who he is on this day. So
that's dope. And on behalf of the husband, I just want to say he got enough underwear, socks, and ties.
Oh, yes.
I got that. I promise.
My kids, they are not giving him socks, underwears, and ties. And Sunday dinner people, Kayla and Brandon are on the call. Y'all are very free, because this is what happens at Sunday dinner, right? All the people, you're welcome to be like, y'all make sure y'all show up for them. So feel free to get on them. I'm giving you permission.
Permission.
To
Maybe you said that. Caleb and who?
Kayla's like, what are you doing, Mom?
Yeah, Kayla and what was the names?
Brandon.
Kayla and Brandon. All right. Now at Sunday at TSP live, don't be acting funny when Uncle Freddie trying to give you some advice now. All right, I'm gonna get you right now. All right. No, I can't. No, I love it that you're bringing them there. I love it that you paid honor to the husband and your dad. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. And like, one thing that you said that was like something that we just can't understand. And I know your children can't even fathom being brilliant and not being able to let that out. Like, that's gotta be, what does that even do to your psyche, right? And like all right, Gen X, Z, wherever y'all at, I don't even know what to call the younger folks no more. Like, I know they big into like self-care and all of that good stuff, but what about that generation that literally couldn't? Like, it was impossible. You talking about your feelings? This is why the elders kind of sometimes be like, y'all soft. Like, man, what's wrong with y'all? Like, I mean, when you get to talking to the elders, and they grew up in a time where your words could kill you. You're committing suicide. And ain't nobody, you think the police are shooting and killing folks? You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing, right? And like, I think sometimes we too soft with the youth. They soft because we too soft with them. Like, you ain't nobody, why ain't we just telling them that? That's just the damn truth. That ain't got nothing to do with hate and being nasty towards white people. Shit, they did it. Hey, what? You can't invalidate their experience because somebody got some feelings. Ain't nobody ever gave a damn about our feelings when our story got retold. Sorry, sister, I just kind of like get me fired up though, but and that's why I be like, the elders better than me. They just better than me. They're better than me. I'm not. Sometimes I make the joke, and maybe I shouldn't. Y'all can, I don't know, be mad at me. But Jesus better than me. What you want from me? He was a better person. That was a better example. I ain't got that in me, right? I don't even got in me what the elders had to deal with. I can't imagine. It's wild to have like genius inside of you, and all you can do is clean the toilets, like, and everyone around you and their joint is incompetent. These people you're incompetent. Like, I'm so much better than y'all, and I literally just can't. And then they still show up, and they still paid the bills, and they still got you to school, got clothes on your back. Yeah, you didn't get that hug, but they was dealing with some shit. All right, man, all right. What, y'all? Woo, these stories. I don't know if we're going to make it today. Thank you for sharing, sister. I appreciate you. I do. That was beautiful. Man, we got some amazing people in the community. After Sister Cecilia, I wanna just throw a question like, if I can get more hands up, y'all, looking for participation. It's about 30 of y'all and ain't said nothing yet. Best advice that you ever got from your father. All right, so think about that. But Sister Cecilia, I want the whole story. Come on, wherever you was going. I don't want to limit you to that. How you doing? Oh, wait a minute.
Right.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. I had you stop me if I go too long, because
Grandma saying everybody hush up. Mama Cecilia talking. She already popped me with the ruler once, so I don't want no more. I learned my lesson.
But I had two amazing fathers in the sense that my mother died like 3 days after I was born. And at the time was two brothers had married two sisters, and they were living in the same apartment in New York at the time that I was born. So my uncle, Papa Woody, brought me home from the hospital because my dad was a mess. Uh, and I have an older brother and an older sister. And we were cared for. My uncle claimed me as his. So my dad was there. He had he hadn't actually been around too long because he was in World War II and was gone from like 1942 to 45. He was a Tuskegee Airman during the time and had gone over to Italy and did the training at in Tuskegee, and then went up to Oscoda. I think he came through. I think they were in Mount Clemens for a while in Michigan. Um, Mount Clemens is at 21 Mile in Jefferson, so it's not far from Detroit. Wound up back there as a senior in high school, but my mother went to Tuskegee after my brother was born, and my dad talked about the trials and tribulations that she went through when she went down to Alabama. They were living in New York, and my brother was born in 1942, and she went after he was like 6 weeks old before he could travel, and went to Alabama. And he talks about the trouble that she had, like she couldn't go into a store and try on clothes. She had to make guess at the size because we weren't allowed to some stores we couldn't go into at all. Some stores, if you went in there, you couldn't try anything on. And like you said, even up north, even in New York, there were stores. When this is getting off, and years later, when Adam Clayton Powell was there, the slogan was, don't shop in stores where you can't work, because everything was segregated in the north. You think about, like you said, you think everything's going to be free up north. Oh no. Oh no. So we were living in New York. My aunt and uncle and my dad was in the apartment, and my brother and my sister. And one day I was a toddler and walked underneath the swing and got kicked in the head. That's probably like how I'm now. But when my uncle came home from work, um, my aunt said, New York is no place to raise children. So we moved back down to Durham and left my dad here in New York. He came out of the military in 45, 46, and was recalled during the Korean War. And a cousin suggested to him that the better place for him to be was to stay in the Air Force. It was the Air Force at that time, instead of the Army Air Corps. So he decided to stay in the military. And like you say, I don't know how he did the things that he did. He came from a family, he was born in Virginia, a little town called Clover, Virginia. It's not a town anymore. Uh, it's only 4 buildings left. And he was the 9th child of 16. And on a farm, but well, his father was a house painter. So all the boys know how to paint and hang wallpaper. They have some of them were painters, some wound up being taxi drivers in New York. Some there's one uncle that was a barber and had a little shop. And they're in different parts, some in North Carolina. A lot of them were in New York. A lot of them stayed in Virginia. One of the brothers, the next one under him, painted it and hung paper in the summer. But he was the principal of the school, had a PhD. He was the second one in the family to get a PhD. The youngest boy went to University of Chicago and got his PhD there. And my father was always studying everywhere. He went to the University of Maryland as correspondence course. And he would have been my friend if I'd gone on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He would have been my phone a friend because it seemed to me like he knew everything. If he didn't know it, he knew where to find out about it, you know. And he had a spirit of adventure. That's what I called it. That, and like we didn't know at the time that we were poor. We went fishing. Every weekend we were on a fishing bank. When I lived in North Carolina with Papa Woody and Mama Boots, in the winter he was hunting. He had quail and rabbit and partridges and Queen was my dog, but she was a bird dog and was out hunting. He didn't hunt he hunted birds and rabbits and squirrels. And we always had food. You didn't know. We always had a garden. Everywhere we went, we and we always had fish. We had fish to give to the neighbors. You know, my dad used to talk about coming home and with these fish and offer them to the neighbors, and they'd only take them if he cleaned them. So he was cleaning the fish and giving them away to the people. And no matter where we were, we do that. And I removed a lot. I think I mentioned last week I went to 18 different schools before I graduated from high school. And changing schools every year is a whole trip because like I'm about the same age as Linda Brown in the Brown versus Board of Education.
Wow.
And was in segregated schools in Missouri and in North Carolina. Hold on, I got to get my finger stick.
Okay.
Okay, that's happening right now. But after the 4th grade of being in segregated schools, there was only 1 year that I was in a situation where there were more than 5 Black folk. Some years I was the first Black folk. When we lived in Japan on Hokkaido, the little Japanese kids would come over and rub my skin to see if it rubbed off, and because we were the first Black people that they'd ever seen. And somehow we always managed to make friends. In Japan, we had a group of people that came over to the house. What? Okay. They came over to the house once a week because my folks made friends with an old man who owned a fishing tackle shop. And he had a young son that was a freshman in college. And he had a lot of friends that wanted to learn to speak English. So they'd come over to the house every week, and all of us would just come down and talk. I was 9 years old at the time, but in return, or not just in return, but they took us places. We saw the Japanese people as real people. I recognized them as some really partying folk. They're not the stoic folk, they're the dancing in the street folks, you know. and it was a great experience. My dad was this open person. He had a spirit of adventure. As I say, we would go places, he was ready to experience anything. And I wonder how he dared to do things. Like I remember driving from Missouri to North Carolina, down through Kentucky and Maryland and West Virginia, and those back in the hills when you had the big box of food in the back seat or in the trunk of the car, because with the sandwiches and the fried chicken and whatever you needed, and having to pull over to the side of the road to sleep because you couldn't stay any place and you couldn't stop. I remember going from DC down to North Carolina. There was only one place that you could stop and go to the bathroom on Route 301. And before the I-95 was put in, you had to go Route 301, and there was this little joint that you could stop and get something to eat and go to the bathroom. And for colored only. And I know the signs up with the white and the colored water fountains and the separate rooms in the bus station, And I go back to remembering, have you had a computer all your life? I remember not having a phone, to having a party line, to, to having, finally getting and you had one phone, and maybe you had the second one in the parents' bedroom. But, you answer the phone, and it was not in a place where you were in a private place. No way. Everybody could hear what you were saying on the phone because it was in the living room. We had an ice box, and the iceman had to come a couple of times a week with their big tongs and pulling that big old block of ice that you could get some chips off of, right? And with the pan of water that dripped down underneath the ice box, And my grandparents lived in the country, both sides. my dad's parents had a water outside with the no, they didn't. It was an outhouse down the path from both grandparents' side because my dad remarried when I was 5, and that's when we went to live back with them. Um, and at my mom's house, the outhouse was down the path next to the woods where the boogeyman was. You know, you couldn't go out to the bathroom at night. We had the slop jar in between the two beds and the potbelly stove the wood burning stove, the big old black stove in the kitchen, you know. So I know what my dad and mom lived with, how they grew up, and think of the changes that they've seen, that he saw in growing up, where you had to go up the hill to get water from the well. You had to use the bathroom outside. You killed chickens in the run the chickens' necks. You know, I don't know how they dealt with all that. And then still came up knowing, going to his school was called a Halifax Training School, which is usually the name of the prison for youngsters. It's a training school. But this was the Halifax County Training School, was the name of the high school he went to. And he went to a school up till it was about the 7th or 8th grade. That was a 2-room schoolhouse. And one of his cousins was the teacher. And, they're strict on their own family when, when they're going to school, and you got your cousin for the teacher. So you can't do anything wrong. And, they had the kind of education that we need to have today, because he knew more stuff than I wonder how he learned all the stuff that he knew. That he was the one that told me that Haile Selassie could trace his lineage back to David when I was like 8 years old. I remember the conversation we were having, sitting out on the porch in St. Louis. And said, how did he find out about that? And nobody's telling me that. They told me, going to the white schools, they told me that's our history started with when we got here as slaves. And and that made us better people to be brought here as slaves, because we couldn't have gone anywhere but up. Because as Africans, we were less than anything, But with the education that my dad got, he didn't believe that. And everywhere we went, the first place, everywhere we moved, the first place that we would go is we find the school that we would go to, we find the church that we try out, and we find the library. And I went to the library every day. It started out going once a week, and my dad would take us to the library on Saturday morning. And I learned to love the library because of my dad. And it got to the point where I would go to the library every day. And my vow was to read every book in each library. Then when I found out that that was impossible to do because they kept getting new books. Right? And and so then I decided to work in categories and try to read all of the books about certain subjects. And when you get to know the librarian and you're a nice person, the librarian orders books with you in mind. So I had a steady supply, and my dad always said, you be a nice person, take advantage of all of the things that are offered to you and just go for it and go for it. And when he had his 90th birthday in Hampton, Virginia, and he said that was the first birthday party he'd ever had. It was when he was 90 years old. Wow. And he became a part of the Tuskegee Airmen group. And at the birthday party, one of his colleagues, there were 6 DOTAs, designated official Tuskegee Airmen in this group. And they gave speeches and whatnot to local groups, to schools. He was very busy during January and February with the schools in the area, having them come to speak and tell the stories of the Tuskegee Airmen. And Sergeant, can't remember his name, slips me now, said, I've been working with him for years, and I never heard him say a curse word. And wow, he's in the Air Force all these years, and I know how these guys talk, but not my father. That he was the cleanest minded man, at least around us. Now, he's a Gemini, so I know he got to be one of those other people that are inside him somewhere, with some folk. I know my husband was a Gemini, and in hanging out with him, I saw him be different people. When he got with different folks, he was a different person with some folk than he was with others. But because I was hanging with him, I saw all the differences. But I don't believe that my father was, I figured he must be different, but he never showed another side to us. He was the church going, the straight up and down person. He took a little nip now and then, but other than that, he was a fine church going man. And I really don't know how he stood his ground, how he was able to travel, because I would sometimes be scared. He on the way he went to Japan ahead of us, and he drove from North Carolina to California on Route 66. Okay, that's the southern route. We came back Route 40, but that's so scary that traveling because, I mean, maybe he had a green book, but,
But
at
still,
that time, but still, you get out there sometimes at night and don't have a place to stop.
Yeah, advice, Glenn. I guess won't be so proud of it.
Oh boy. But we had a good a good life, you know. And and I was trying to look at the picture of part of part of another group that um has a white person who's guilty because she comes from the wealthy folk, and she's learning about the silent kind of racism, being aware of being a racist. And she feels guilty because she had everything. She had money. She didn't have to worry about anything in her life. And I said, we had the same thing when we were in Japan. We had a maid, we had a guy, a gardener, we had a woman that came in with the washing and the ironing. We had a woman that came on Thursdays and made clothes for us. I had a poodle skirt. I don't know. That's probably before your time.
yeah, you
But
got me. I'm normally on top of some of these references, but you got me on poodle skirt.
poodle skirts. Yeah,
You hop on
it
Chat
was a skirt
GPT. This is
with
all.
the poodle sewed on it. And there were the bobby socks and the penny loafers. You know,
Okay.
but okay during that time. But that was the bubbly. We could do what we would wanted to do, and didn't have to work. I had to clean our room, but the house was kept clean by the maid that came. We didn't have to. My sister washed dishes, but for all that other stuff, my brother had to mow the lawn just a little bit, a little area. But my mom was playing bridge with the bridge club,
I'm
all that
sorry. I'm
kind of stuff.
sorry. The poodle skirts were featured on Happy Days in the movie Grease. I'm now bang. I got it. I knew what it was, but all right. All right.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
That was important.
Uh-huh.
That was breaking news.
Right. Right. But uh to have experienced the way he was talked to in the military. He wasn't an officer. He was he made it to the chief master sergeant, as high as he could go. He was a senior master sergeant, and then he became a chief master sergeant, and he was a base sergeant major at some time. So he was actually at the top of the enlisted men who actually did the work. You look at the officers told the folk what to do, but he was the one that told the folks less than him what to do. He was actually running the show. And but those levels of military are all, and he helped me deal with being the only one when I was in New Baltimore, Michigan, which uh, was where I went to school because we lived in base housing, but it was off base. Um, I was the first Black person to ever go to that school in Michigan. In Michigan, 21 miles outside the center of Detroit, I was the first Black person to go to that school. And I had to find my group and get with that group. And worked through everything with the support, and it was my dad that helped me deal with the stuff that was going on, and he said, there's no choice. You just got to deal. You just deal with the people spitting on you or calling your names and doing that. And I can imagine what he was going through or what he had to go through. But he's calm and steady. Went to work like clockwork. I remember in St. Louis, he was the clock for the neighborhood because he got home at 4:30 every day. And that was, I believe, when the Little Rascals came on. And and the neighborhood would clear. One day he came home at lunch time and kids were all outside. Everybody went in because Sergeant Williams was home.
It's got to be 4:30.
gotta
It's
be
got to be
4:30.
4:30.
Couple minutes later, everybody came back outside, and it was a kind of a community where, he had a whistle. Every family had their call to get the people home, and even if you were out of hearing, somebody would tell you, your dad is calling you, would come because everybody had a signal. So it was a good life, but it was a good life, but I I don't know how. I mean, I watched how we did it. We canned, we had a garden, had the vegetables and the peaches and the truck came through the neighborhood with the vegetables and the fruits. And he'd blow the horn and all the women would come out and and get the peas and the peaches and the corn and whatnot. And we sit on the porch and work with the peas and can. They made wine from all kinds of different things. We had stuff stored in the basement so we could get through the winter, you know. And the hunting and the fishing got us through. And you didn't get much store-bought stuff. You had to make your clothes. Yeah, the only thing in store-bought was shoes, pretty much. So it was a time. But I thank my dad for all the experiences, the Sunday drives to just look at the homes and look at this house and drive through the white neighborhoods and and see what you could aspire to. One day we're gonna have a house like that. One day, one day, you know.
That's
And
wow.
yeah, that was the growing up, and the moving around is a trip, but I didn't realize it was a trip until I stopped moving and realized I didn't know how to deal with long-term friends. And I didn't know my grandparents, only for short times. So for visits. But, and one thing that sticks out with me, I never was upstairs in my grandparents' house until my grandfather died. And I asked my dad, where'd you sleep? And he took me upstairs and he said there was a boys' room and a girls' room and a couch out in the middle of in the hallway where if you were sick, you slept out in the hallway. You couldn't sleep in the room with the other people because you might make them sick. So, and I said, wow, this is so, but there's a 40-year age span between the oldest and the youngest.
Wow.
They were 3 years apart. One set of twins. They were 3 years apart. And
Wow.
14 of them made it to adulthood.
Wow.
Mm.
That's, I mean, we down.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. I don't even know. Like, that's wow. That's, I mean, because there's so many conversations in there, but we just will appreciate you sharing with us today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as usual, sister. We always
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah. And recent, up until COVID, we had a family reunion every year for 40 years. And then COVID stopped it
you.
or slowed it down. We had one last 2 years ago. But up until then, we had a family reunion every year. And it was hosted by a family or a group of families. And the reunion wasn't always in the same place. It was wherever the host family lived. So it was all up and down the East Coast, from Atlanta to Connecticut, in different places. So that's how we got to know the family. And it was a welcome thing to happen every year. So we got to start it back up again. But it's hard now because the schools start earlier and run later. We used to have it Labor Day weekend, but schools nowadays start in August.
Wow.
You know, so we can't do the Labor Day weekend because we have to travel too far. So, but
Yeah, well, I hope y'all can get it back going. I think the family reunion is something is an important piece. We restarting them in our family, so that's like
oh yeah,
yeah, starting
yeah,
small. So we
families
got to
so
start small.
yeah, we tried to the last one to get it in a centralized location, to get it in the DC area so that we could have one place to come to, because it lasts for 4 days. And we don't have, if we have it in a central area, the travel time is not so bad. People come from Schenectady, and that trip to Atlanta is tough. But putting it in the DC area might make it work. So, but it's a life.
Right. And it's good when you get with family, right? That's always good. So,
That's
but I thank you
always.
for sharing though. We definitely appreciate it. Um, man, it's like it's so much, right? With these stories, with our families. It's like, man. But I think this is important, right? And I love that Kayla is gonna speak and say, I don't know what you're gonna say, but I love that you get to hear the elders talking about like their elders, right? Like none of this is like fictional, right? Like because we watch TikTok and the younger we're watching social media, right? And I don't mean to, I'm not on TikTok. I don't do TikTok, but it ain't like I don't be consuming social media, right? It's the same thing, right? It's just a different platform. But um it's like we consume it and then we discount the experiences of the elders. Like it's like everything is a joke, everything is funny, and it's not. Like these stories of having all the talent in the world and having to suppress that, like that happened. That Mama Cecilia talked about dad driving across the country, taking Route 66, right? The southern route and the fear that invokes, right? And like we think about, oh, you go to the protest, oh, the police might kill you. The police might just kill you. Not even the police, anybody might just kill you during those times. And there is no camera phones and social media. Like if you think, like I think Will Smith is credited with the quote of basically around these killings, these murders, none of it is new. This is it's just being filmed now. Now you're just seeing it, right? And like these experiences that even y'all are just sharing about your father, your family. Like it's just the stuff that you know. This is not like sensationalized conversation, right? But if you know an elder, you got there's some hell of stories about this country, and I think this has been good, showing even the North, right? Nothing really changed. This is just a
Nothing's
conversation.
changed. I got to Detroit, to the Detroit area, when Viola, what was her name? That the white lady that went down from Detroit, right? Where they were saying she deserved it. That got killed. That she shouldn't have been there in the first place, going down there helping, trying to help Negroes.
Well, you stay out, mind your business. You ain't got no business
Right.
down there anyway, stirring up trouble. Same thing they said about Dr. King, but Daddy talked about that too. When she got murdered, because she went down there. I think they was doing voter registration drives or
Right,
something for the
yeah.
black community.
And it
And they
was
murdered
in
that white woman for doing that. And the others, it wasn't just her, but she was from the area up north, and they were saying she ain't had no business down there. That's her fault. She should mind her own business, right?
And that was 1964.
Yeah.
64, 65. So
Yes.
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. We're gonna let young Kayla in on the discussion. How you
Okay,
doing, young lady?
hi. I'm good. We just celebrated my brother's graduation ceremony and party yesterday, so I'm a little fatigued, but it was fun. It was fun. You'll probably, if you follow my mom on Facebook, you'll probably see a bunch of videos.
Wait,
on,
why you say Facebook?
on
Why you messing with us old folks that be on Facebook? I know what you're getting at. I know. That's all right. It's all good. That's all good. We like Facebook. So what?
She has an
Go ahead.
Instagram, but it's her professional platform. So Facebook is more, it's more relaxed on Facebook. So you'll definitely see the videos there.
I like it.
Um,
Thank you.
oh,
Yeah, look,
Mom,
yeah,
I
yeah,
say
yeah,
that I
yeah,
can
yeah.
still
I ain't
see
gonna let her just talk about us on Facebook now. Like, I like Facebook.
But yes, I would love to add on to what you were previously saying, talking about how like as young people, we really are, I would say, disconnected to all the work and experiences our older generations have been through. And I did have the opportunity to speak on Dr. Jamar Tisby's one of his calls that was virtual, um, that was covering talking about the importance of voting. And I personally has not had the feeling of like, oh, like having the strong feeling of like I need to vote. I just know that it's important, so I do it. But recently hearing my aunt and my uncle's stories about sharecropping and just that experience has really changed my perspective on why I need to vote. And I just think it's so important that our older generation tells those stories, even though, we're soft and, we get pampered from time to time. I think it's just so important to tell you all stories because, I live in the suburbs. There's not much happening over here other than, little things. But just being conscious and aware that, it's not like, oh, like the black people down the street. No, it's in our lineage and it's in, um, it is, and it's not far. Like that's only 2 generations down. So yeah. But back to the question that you had was, what best advice has your father given you? Me, I would say it's more of a story or a skill. He has taught me a skill. So we used to get allowances. I don't get any anymore, sadly. Um, but
I mean,
uh,
I refrained. I was like, I ain't gonna say nothing. I was like, say it. Then I was like, I ain't gonna say it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
and
Oh, boo! She's not getting an allowance, y'all. We're devastated for you. I want you to know. Inside somewhere, I can't find it yet, but I know it's down in there somewhere. We're devastated. Go ahead.
but yeah, we used to get allowance. And I remember the first time he gave us $10 like every single Sunday. But the first time he gave us the $10, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna give you $10, but like I'm gonna need like 10% for ties." Then he would be Uncle Sam. And he's like, "I need like $2, so give that over." And then some goes into the savings, and then you would have a little bit to save. So usually it would end up being like $5 that I would like have to like use it for whatever. I was like 8, so I don't even know what I was gonna do with $5. But um that really has helped me just one not be so shocked when I got my first job that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got this much. No, you didn't. That was like the front end. They didn't extract nothing from that. Not being surprised about that, but also just starting building a foundation on how to handle money. And it's an ongoing thing, and getting a debit card and all the things. But that was definitely one skill that my dad has definitely launched in my family that I can directly point to him, because there's a lot of advice that I've been given from both of my parents, but they're just so intertwined. So that one was a specific one that was like, yeah, that was my dad.
I
Yeah,
love it.
that's
I
it.
love it. Are you still on top of your money now that you're not getting an allowance anymore?
Um,
You see the
yes,
tear? You see that tear? Oh, you don't? Yeah. All right.
I'm okay. I'm surviving. I'm surviving. Um, yeah, I think it's definitely been a little bit different because now I have a debit card just handling like, okay, like overdrafting and other things like that, like how not to do that, and making sure things are being transferred properly and checking things and all things like that's definitely different than like handling cash. So that's been my new learning process. Um, yeah. So
How old are you?
oh, I'm 19.
Fantastic. I did fantastic, young lady. You killing it. Just keep going. Keep going.
Thank
Keep
you.
digging, keep learning, keep growing. Um,
All
I
right.
wanted to make sure I was being positive. I got some jokes. It's like, I'm like holding it back. I'm like, oh, I gotta be Uncle Freddie. Okay. No, this was great. This was great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can get more of your insight and thought into our youth, right? So we appreciate that. And shout out to mama and daddy for their work. But I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Yes, yes, looking forward to it. Thank you, young lady. And thank you for participating. I definitely appreciate
Yeah, I'm glad
that.
to be here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We definitely like to have the intergenerational conversations, right? So somehow we got to start figuring out how to get more young people here. One day we'll work on that. But I think it's important, right? They need to hear your stories, and you need to hear their stories, right? I think that's one thing that I'm noticing, right, in the conversations when the young people do show up, it's not they just feel disconnected to us, right? And I think we're leading with talking rather than listening. It is a different generation, and I do make fun. They are soft, all right. And I know my daddy generation would call my generation soft, right? So that's like it's not necessarily a knock, it's just what it is, right? Like I think and then as they grow, they gonna call the next generation soft. And we always do that, right? And hopefully it's getting better. They should be softer, right? They should be more in tune. They should be more in touch. But we definitely want them to have that work ethic and that drive, right? And what I'm starting to see is a lot of them do. They don't get credit for it because we focus on the ones that ain't doing the right thing because the conversation is more sensational. Unless they're doing something so amazing, then we talk about them. But it's like it's this 80% in the middle that's being ignored and not being inspired. And I think that's where we got to get to. I think I'm drumming up my next conversation, right? Because I think it's an important one. Because as I talk to our typical Sunday dinner audience, our urban intellectuals audience, y'all good folks, we're concerned about the future. We're concerned about that next generation, that them grands and them great grands, right? We're concerned about not only just them, but the world that we're going to leave for them, or we are leaving for them, or this environment that they are clearly coming up under or in, depending on how you see it, right? We're concerned. So I don't know. Yeah, so it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I'm enjoying this. Hopefully y'all are. I gotta be honest, like grandma got my back, but I'm just really be here on Sundays being selfish, like having the conversations that I be wanting to have. And hopefully y'all enjoy it. But seems to be we kind of in there. All right, Angela, let me save me because I just keep going now.
Okay. Greetings, everyone.
Come
Happy
on with the
Father's
glasses,
Day.
though. All right.
Happy Father's Day to all those great fathers out there. And I'm glad to be here. I just want to say something about my father, Hummer Biggs. He was an entrepreneur and from Atlanta, Georgia, and he had a true hardware franchise, one of the only first franchise hardware. And I used to sit there as a little girl and watch all the Black people come in and get their hardware for their buildings. And it was on a major street, Fair Street in Atlanta, Georgia. And then I would go there. And then at night, this is what really I was so proud of. He would put clothes, coals, um, shovels, rakes, all kind of things in his car. And he would go to these really poor neighborhoods, and he would sell the things from his trunk. And he would take orders of that for people who didn't have cars or any transportation to get to the hardware store. And I would say, well, what kind of places are these? I've never, because of course we lived in the middle class because he was an entrepreneur. I hadn't seen any houses like that. And so I said, can I go in some of those houses with you? And they were really struggling. I got to see the other side of the track with the old-fashioned stove, still using coal. And here I had electricity at home. And I'm like, what is that? What's that? It was coal stoves. And I was so proud of my dad. I said, he put all that dirty coal and he served the community in other ways besides taking hardware goods and other goods to the poor parts of the community on his own. He also used his office, his store, as a meeting place for like lawyers and revolutionaries, and that they would get together. I would be sitting in the front and they would be in the back. I was like, oh, those are some really important men, and they're having some really important conversations, and I would see them looking really solemn. And so what they were doing, they were putting together monies and to bail out youth and other people, Black people who had been arrested. So that was like the headquarters, and they came together and they decided who was going to who's going to be bailed out in that. And he lived in the dormitory with Martin Luther King. So he was in that era where they were trying to, the civil rights and that, and we're not taking it anymore. And unfortunately, my father got arrested. He was afraid. He waited to daylight to get out of jail, and they chased my father out of town.
Wow.
But they threatened to kill him. So he had to leave and go to Detroit for a while, which he got a job. His brothers and that were in the auto industry. So he ended up staying. My mother was scared. She's like, you got to go. Please no. So it took, they had to do, phone. I had to visit, blah, blah, blah. He ended up with a furniture store in Detroit. And during the riots, they were burning down everything around him. And he had to go out and say, I'm black, I'm black. So he was on the news. He was on the newspaper. They said his store did not get burned.
Wow.
My dad's furniture store did not get burned.
Wow.
All the stores, like all around, up and down the street, were burned. And so I was so excited that they knew that my dad was an entrepreneur, and they kept his store alive. And unfortunately, I didn't get. He used to talk to me about being an entrepreneur, and He said, if you're a white woman, you'd be making $20,000. You'd be making $200,000 instead because you're so smart. That's how he would encourage me. I just never got the entrepreneurial spirit. But my two daughters are both entrepreneurs.
I heard it skip a generation.
Yes. And they're doing, in fact, Freddie, they are doing very well. They send me on vacations and I said, okay then. So my dad, yeah, it skipped a generation, but he believes in entrepreneurship.
I love it.
That's the advice he gave to me and my daughters, which they took it. Yeah.
Hey, it skips a generation. It sounds like it's landed right on time. And judging by them glasses, you're doing all right for yourself, young lady. I ain't worried about you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate it. Oh man, I like it. Y'all be letting me be silly, but no, but there's another really powerful conversation, right? And what is happening in our community and around us, right? And like that entrepreneurial conversation kind of, really hit special to me because I'm an entrepreneur, right? Like, and I got the spirit and I can't understand anything different from it, but how important entrepreneurs were to the movement, right? She talked about her dad having a store front that was serving the community doing its thing, but it was using this back office for real conversations for people that are going to finance the movement. Like, we good at talking, right? Somebody got to put the money up. That's the thing. That's the catch. That's the caveat to the community talk. Like, we're great at talking. We're going to put the money up. It's going to take money. Y'all going to go down there and march and do whatever, get beat on, get kicked, and put yourself in harm's way for the people. But they're going to arrest you. You're going to have a legal case. You can't afford that. Who going to fund it? Who going to fund it? And she's literally giving you an insight to what was happening behind the movement. We never really talk about the money. Now, y'all know I do. I do, because I tell you, I'm not dying broke like the revolutionaries of the past. Like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in revolution. I'm interested in that. But I keep telling you, I ain't the martyr. These people behind there better than me. Like, they're better. They're just better human beings than me. God's still working on me, right? As they say. But I'm gonna put in some work, right? But this reminded me of, I thought I had the link ready, but Building Atlanta. I don't know if y'all know this book, but it's a book called Building Atlanta. And Angela, thank you for your story, because it gives me an opportunity to highlight Herman Russell, right? Herman J. Russell, y'all. This dude was in Atlanta during this time, and this is a book about his life, Building Atlanta. This black man built Atlanta, y'all. It's like, that's a wild statement, but this is the dude that industrialized Atlanta. Like, and it's not an overstep on the conversation. If you read the book, right, just check it out. Herman J. Russell, Building Atlanta. This dude built Atlanta, but he financed the movement. He was one of those Angela Mama who was using his hotels, using his barbershops, using his spots around the city, and using his home to host Dr. King, to host SNCC, to support the protest and the movement, and to organize the money, getting his friends into a room to have this important conversation, and being willing to foot the bill. It's two ends to the revolution, right? Somebody's got to get themselves in harm's way into the gap, because you ain't gonna make no change without some smoke, let's say, right? But that smoke got to be financed. This is the problem that we have. This is the caveat to operating in this capitalistic system and being dependent upon it. So I love entrepreneurship, but I like to push entrepreneurship where you start to own the means of your distribution, your control, your contacts, your movement. Because the moment you start using your funds to support something that goes against somebody else's agenda, they're going to seek to cut, your water resources, let's say, right? So the flow of capital doesn't come in. Or if you are in their distribution channel, which is like if you're selling through Walmart, Target, whatever the case may be, and you start to make what is seen as a political stance that's against some of these interests, it just cuts you off, right? So this is why, like, we talk about the Black movement and support Black businesses and like all of that, but we don't really got the undercurrent on why. You know why your favorite celebrities don't talk about the issues and the things that you deem as important and that's really impacting our community and our families every day at the ground level? It's because they depend on white supremacy to make their money.
They will suffer immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
We've seen examples of that. You can't even say a sentence, and they will cut you off.
They will cut you off.
Like Nick Cannon, he had to apologize profusely to get his job back. He had to go through something he said about the Jews. They raked him over the coals really bad, and he submitted.
Yeah,
they took him out for a while.
Yeah, but it even goes. It's like even deeper than that, right? Like we had. I mean, not that ain't deep enough because we know about that group of people, right? I don't like to say that. I just stay out of it, right? But I know better. But you get me in the right conversation, the right place, then I'll say what I feel like. But I'm cognizant of. Anyway, let me keep going because I wanted to. Yeah, let me just keep going. I was about to super rabbit hole, y'all. On that, but. Oh, I thought somebody was jumping in. But man, I lost it I'll try to sidestep that. But that's my point, right? Like there's certain conversations that you can't even have. This is where I wanted to go. Because even like on a smaller level, y'all interact with me, y'all seen our products, you know the history, the culture that we talk about, right? And I don't believe, how do I put this? History, to tell the story is important, whether it's put something or someone in a good light or a bad light. If it's significant, the story should be told, right? The interpretation and how you take it and spin the story is different. Anyway, we had a relationship with JetBlue for Black History Month, like 2018, 2019, all that. But we had to terminate the relationship because inside of our deck of the Black women's history, right, all Black women in volume 2 is Assata Shakur. And there is there's a deep dislike or disdain for this woman in the New York, New Jersey area because of why she's fled the United States and she's living in Cuba and all of that. But anyway, she's featured in one of our cards on there, right? Her history. And basically, like that police union and that, all of that kind of started contacting JetBlue, corporate pressure, all of that. So we had to dead the relationship. But here's my point. Imagine if my business depended on that relationship and that money that was being generated from being featured in the JFK airport, the Newark airport for Black History Month with a display of our stuff. Imagine if that was like the main source of revenue in the business. I got to come out with statements. I got to retract the Assata Shakur. I got to start doing the dance, right? That so many have done or do, no knock. I mean, shoot, we got to eat. Babies got to eat. But that ain't the source of the revenue. So cutting that off, I can still tell the stories that need to be told. America don't retract George Washington's story because he owned slaves, because they feel bad about that angle that they were just murdering folks to take over the country that was already here. They don't feel bad about telling you those stories. So I don't want to ever blink, right? Like I don't want to ever blink, like, but I guess what I'm getting at, my bigger lesson is that what I learned watching my daddy, you know, if you got enough, all you need is enough. You don't need everything. All you need is enough. And you can have a good experience, you can have a good life, and you know that translates into, you know, financially, don't be buying shit you can't afford. Like it just don't be ridiculous. Like I don't know, save your money, be frugal. Just because you can don't mean you should. If you're gonna do something, show up and dominate. You know, set goals, continuously stay active, take care of your family. Like, you know, he's a oh, and be humorous when you can, because I mean, my whole family, everybody thinks they're a comedian. It is like it's the wildest place to be when you at mama and daddy house, boy, because everybody's telling jokes. You had to be quick with it in the Taylor family, but I don't know. I'm just sharing and floating stories. They're always trying to change ideas. Yeah. But I will say this. I enjoyed today, man. I did. This was good for Papa's Day. And I'm winning because I was like, I'm gonna be 3 hours today. I'm still gonna get out and enjoy me some Father's Day myself. But this was good. This was y'all sharing them stories. It hit a lot deeper than I expected. You know, I wanted some celebration of daddy, but man, y'all went into history. We touched on social issues. Like we literally have talked about everything today in the context of honoring our fathers. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's about 30 of y'all that did not share. So you're on the clock for next week. I want you to know that. I ain't forgot. I'm gonna let y'all slide today. Grandma, like, all right, now I'm down to my last pan. I ain't about to be messing with y'all all night. So, but this was great. Who is that? You know?
This is Nora.
Hey, Nora, how you doing?
I just want to say this because it kind of led to this. When I was a young girl, I grew up in New York, but I had the privilege of being in Augusta, Georgia. And my grandfather said something to what has already been said. He said, a free man works for no man, and learn how to do something with your head and your hands. So by the time I was 27, we had Angela Davis and all the great souls, and I went to school for barbering. And at 27, I opened up my own barbershop in the village. And I knew early in life what he said, like a free man works for no man. So I knew that when we are getting all these papers to work for other people, sometimes we need to learn to do something ourselves. And that's a very important piece. And now I've learned to be a healer. I've learned to be a social worker. And when COVID came, a lot of what we're doing, so that using your head and your hands is very significant to have more than one thing to do, you know. And the other thing that you said was so wonderful is like, keep it simple, stupid, you know, keep it simple. Because sometimes simplicity is better than, you know, leading your whole life in nothing but material things. And now as people getting older, they're only worried about who's going to get the house and who's going to get this. So I love the way the day went. And Angela and Martin and Malcolm and all those wonderful souls were around. But I watched my grandfather. He only had fourth grade education. He was born in 18 something, and he was a carpenter, and he built houses and dressed. And at 60 something, he found out that he was a Mason, and you know, from not the Mason the Bill, but the Mason and the Eastern Stars. And I learned so much from him. He said that he would give people wisdom, but they wouldn't listen. But the minute that he went into he became a minister at 60 something. And he said, then when he got in the pulpit, people listened to you. It said, Black people only listen to you when you're in the pulpit. That's why you preaching, brother. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. So I've learned how to use my head, my hands, and my head. And those are two things that we have to use. I'm so sick of hearing people saying they got dementia. And that's because they stop reading, not watching what they eat. So thank you for my minute.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. I appreciate that message today, right? Use your head and your hands, right? I like that.
And a free man works for no one, which is what the lady said about learning to do a business. He encouraged us to do some kind of business. You know, that's what he meant by that, because you can work with people. That's another story. You can work with an organization and things like that. But when you have a skill set that you know how to do,
Mm,
that's a very important piece.
that's real. Yeah, you preaching. I like that. I like that talk. That talk get me excited, y'all. We gonna mess around, be here another hour messing around with Nura now. um, man, today really was good. I appreciate all of y'all for sharing. I appreciate y'all being here. Um, yesterday I just had a good weekend of conversations with y'all. I got outside, I hung out with Q's yesterday. That was like great. I just had great conversation with great people all around celebrating Father's Day and Fathers all week. We had a great discussion around straw yesterday. Woo, it was like therapy if y'all wasn't there. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, y'all, but it brought up a lot of discussions in the community, right? That was in there. So it just made for a good discussion. And that's what we did. But the movie was strong. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go back into it, but it's all centered around the conversations that we need to have right inside of our community, inside of our families. And y'all know this is what we do here at Sunday Dinner, right? Sometimes it's triggering, I'm sure. Um, sometimes it's just exactly what you didn't know that you needed, right? And I think today was one of those days. Um, today was definitely one of those days, right? I didn't know what was gonna come out of this or how it was gonna exactly land, because anybody could show up and say anything, right? So I can't. It's not like I planned it. If I would have planned it, all 30 of y'all that didn't talk would have said something, but I can't. I can't.
Hey, Freddie,
Yes, ma'am.
is there a replay of the Zoom you had yesterday?
Um, I kind of messed it up. So on
Not
the
you.
yeah, not me. Me mess it up. That's crazy. On the YouTube, there is the vast majority of the discussion is there, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thanks.
I'll link that. Yeah, thank you for that. That was good. Yeah, I needed this Sunday dinner today. Yeah, yeah. See, Grandma be sliding inside of that cabbage, boy. You got a little something extra. I ain't want to hit the pork on some of y'all. I know some of y'all. They don't eat the swine. Hey Regina, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You got
Happy
your hand
Father's
up.
Yes, happy Father's Day to everyone. I
Mhm.
got in late. I've been running all day, but I said I
Mhm.
got to get in here
Grandma
to the
was
dinner.
Grandma was looking for you. She was like, you know
I
that
said I
one
got
late
to get
again.
in here to the dinner. I would just like to say my father, I'm here in Detroit, and my
Oh
dad.
no, y'all Detroit, we strong in Detroit. I had to come
Oh,
home. Come
yes.
on.
So my dad, during the time when unemployment was really hard in the early days, I guess it was in the probably in the 60s, and my dad was trying to get into the workplace, and the automotive industry was really starting to boom. And dad told us how he would go and stand in the line, and the way they would have it fixed is the black guys was always like behind the white guys. So all they stand all day and they keep moving up, moving the line. But as soon as they got up to the desk or the table, whatever, so they could get in to work or get a job, it was always told they had to come back the next day. And I think my dad did that about 4 days. And when he walked away from the gentleman that fourth day, he said he couldn't do it, and he turned around and went storming back, and he said, "Look, man, I got a wife and I got a family, and I need to take care of them just like you." And he said it startled the guy, so he just said, "Go on in there, go on in there." And Dad went in there, and that's how he got hired. And he was with GM well, I don't even know how many years, but he was there until he retired.
Wow.
And my father didn't have I think no more than about a fifth school education. Therefore, they would have foremans in the plant. And because Dad didn't have one, they literally created a position called a group leader so they could get my dad to do that because he didn't have that, but they wanted him to be in that position, and they just called it a group leader. And
Wow.
I thought I was so proud of him because we all know how that was back in the day. It was tough. And
Yeah.
so I got to live through all that they called a riot, and it was just a rebellion because people had just gotten tired. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I miss him a lot. So I was glad to be able to say that because I've been thinking, well, my dad's not here. Different ones got to get cars and get things. I said, but I can reminisce about the things he did, and he took care of us. And we have a large family. It's like 10 of us kids. We ain't kids no more, but it's 10 of us, and I'm the oldest. So he did good. Him and my mom.
Woo! Bless his spirit. 10? Lord.
10. So I said 2 was all I could handle.
I ain't mad at you, boy. You had to grow up like, nah, I ain't about to do this. I
I
ain't
had
about
to
that life.
take care of them. It's like I ain't doing that.
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story. And your dad and man.
And like the lady said, your father and your mother, they do give you such inspiration. They give you such foundation. And like you said, some things may skip a year, but I have 2 daughters, and my youngest daughter is a naturopathic doctor in Arizona. So we got a doctor in the house.
Come on, mama. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, we need I think parents, we need to create something. You could just floss your children's accomplishments.
Yes,
I mean, because they all of our accomplishments. They're really the
yes,
accomplishments of the ancestors, right? Like there's a long
yes,
lineage that went into that doctor. That doctor didn't just appear.
yes,
There's been a
definitely,
there's been a
definitely.
struggle and a fight.
Yes, it has
You
been.
know, yeah, yeah. It's beautiful though. It's beautiful.
She's down there amongst a lot of the other I call them brethren on the other side of the fence as far as color. And so she gets a lot from them. I think they just can't imagine how does she have this much intelligence and smarts. And but she does, and she know what she knows, and she holds to it, and that's just how it is. But and I think my father for that, for like him turning around and going back in there. I need this for my family, just like you need it for your family. So,
Yeah.
but I hope you all have a wonderful Father's Day.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. You made it better. Definitely. Grandma said, get that woman a little bit more sweet potato pie. She need a little bit. See, just on the way out. Now she came late, but she all right. She showed up, y'all. But now this has been a great discussion. Definitely something that I'm glad we did. I'm glad y'all shared, and it's fun, man. So I don't know. Hopefully y'all enjoyed today. Hopefully you come back next week for our Sunday dinner. Oh man, I be so busy doing other stuff. I just dropped the link down here. We're doing our Black History Summit, our Juneteenth Black History Summit. So right here on Zoom, inside your phone or inside your computer. But we're doing a Black History Summit. Reclaim Your Roots. It's free. That is the link there. We are. Share this. Bam. Yeah, these are some great discussions from some great people. Y'all are definitely gonna enjoy it. If you enjoy my typical madness, which I think y'all did, y'all hanging out with me on these Sundays, you're gonna love this, especially when I pull in experts and have a discussion around our history and our culture. But at the time, there we go. 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's gonna be good, y'all. Hopefully you have an opportunity to come and join us and experience some organized chaos. All right. I just give you pure chaos here on Sunday dinner. But we got an organized plan here of attack for these 4 hours. We're gonna have a great discussion and dive into our history, our culture. I asked some tough questions during these interviews, and Dr. Aiden addresses specifically this conversation around the slave trade not being a real thing. Like the Africans here in America, these us black folks, are not from Africa. We're from here. I don't know if y'all tapped into the internet tea leaves, but you know, when I be hearing stuff, I just be like, man, wow. But the way this brother engages this conversation is spectacular. Like, I'm just excited to get this out. And the discussion with Kim, particularly poignant to our conversations today around our fathers. Somebody talked about their grandfather, right? But the history that your lineage has been through, Kim is going to talk about. Kim is going to talk about genealogy, like digging into your family's history, really being a family history detective, but putting together that story. So we just talked to the sister talking about the doctor, and will there be a link in our emails? Yeah, the link should be in there, but if you click on that, you'll be able to sign up. But should be talking about putting that story together for your family. So not, you know, baby girl is the doctor, that's great, but then here's what, you know, I did. Here's what her grandfather did, you know, when he turned around to go get that job. But here's what you don't know about his parents. And then that, and then the farther back that you can go, the stronger the story gets. Because our young people need to realize you didn't just show up in this opportunity. I'll give you credit, you seized the day, right? You got to seize the moment, but that moment started hundreds of years ago. And the closer I can tie you into that understanding, we can start to cook, right? But somebody's got to put the story together. Not just the general history, but your family story. Anyway, Kim's going to talk about that. And Dr. Wallace, we're going to dig into I don't even want to kind of tell you, because the curveball the conversation takes centered around history, understanding human trafficking. This is wild. This is wild. This conversation is gonna be good. This is gonna be good, y'all. All right, y'all. I be like shooting down movies and all of that, but come and really engage in what we're doing for Juneteenth. I know you're gonna love it. Keep your head straight and let's have a good discussion coming up. So go ahead and sign up for that. Again, thank you for being here on Father's Day. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, to your husbands, the fathers, your uncles, to your grandparents and beyond. Happy Father's Day to everybody. You matter, brothers. You matter. I think that's what matter. You matter, right? But you matter, and continue to lean in and do the work. We all know that they lying about us and our participation in the things that we do. Not all of us, but hey, most of us are doing what we're supposed to do. So let's keep that celebration and focus on them. Tomorrow we'll talk about them deadbeats. And one thing I'll say about the deadbeats, stop befriending them. If you don't befriend them, all right, or the women that's pushing them away, I don't know. But if people are acting up, man, stop befriending them. Like stop making excuses or space for nonsense, right? This is about fatherhood today, right? Be a grown ass man. Take care of your kids, right? I don't understand. Like we can't make space for that nonsense. We got too much work to do. When everything is clicking on all cylinders, we got issues. Damn it. So shit, we ain't got time for that. So grow up. Anyway, that was my rant on that. But I appreciate y'all being here today. I've had a lot of fun. And a little 9 minutes over, right? I know what y'all emails be saying. Don't worry about that. That's an inside joke. We playing with that. But I appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully, again, I'll see y'all on Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day, right? Till next time, love, peace, and power to the people. I appreciate y'all today.